Good evening and welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
So like two teams with that movie, it seems like either people love it or they hate it. Okay, I do too. I do too.
Yeah. BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's meant for us to kind of contemplate. Like, I don't think his response to me is completely appropriate. Like, it makes sense that he would react that way.
Allthemoviethings.
I think the thing why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
The pre-review with Biggie.
The pre-review is where I tell you about upcoming movies coming to movie theaters and beyond.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I probably would have been in love with this movie as well if I had watched it earlier, like when it came out, or maybe right after.
Let's go to the poster wall.
And welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me, as always, is All the Movie Things and Tylermakesfilms. But we have the triumphant return of BlackGirlMarvel. She is back from her play, which we will talk about here in just a moment. And we are going to be discussing three films, as always, here on The Real Study. Girls Trip, The Woman King, and Wakanda Forever. As you can tell, it is an all-female, all-black lead evening. We are just trying to make sure that we show that representation. And, of course, it's Black History Month, so we're trying to make sure that we are doing even more than normal. That said, we're also going to be doing Life of Pi and having a guest next week, so look forward to that. But as always, BlackGirlMarvel has an announcement about social media.
I'm back. I know you missed me, but as always, to say you missed me, you can go and follow us on all social media, and that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's TikTok. Really on the TikTok though, we need some more folks to be following us on the TikTok there. We'd appreciate it if you would, and if you wanted to continue, joining in with us, talking. If there's any movies you would like us to review, even TV shows. We also, you guys might not know this because we've done this a while back. We also do TV shows from time to time.
We dabble. We sprinkle little TV shows in there every now and again. So if you want to request anything, request anything for us to review, to watch, to partake in, please join our Discord. Link is available somewhere where links are available. They're there, and follow us. And we would love for you guys to find us and have a good time with us. And remember, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Come join us. The Real Study. All right.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Have a great evening. Well, maybe. No. Okay. So we're going to move over to the main wall as always, and we're going to say hi to everybody. And how has everybody's week been this week? Busy? Good? Bad?
Yeah.
Busy as
always.
always.
Even worse this week.
Right? You're going to Taiwan. So that's going to
Thailand.
I thought it was Thailand. Okay. I was mistaken. Nope. But you are going to that side of the world to Southeast Asia and for work. That's awesome. We've got Lala back with us. How was your play? How did all that go? You had what, 6 weeks?
Yeah, like 5, I think. Five. It went really well. First, they opening weekend, that first Friday opening weekend was sold out, which was like unprecedented for them. And then our last Sunday was sold out, so that was nice. And there were some ups and downs in between, but I think that's the way life goes. And but it was fun nevertheless. It was like fun. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy that is over. But then on the flip side, I'm like, dang man, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, so it was just like this that nice. But I am happy to be back. I've missed you guys dearly. Like,
you have been missed.
I left a little bit of my heart here with you guys, and like I'm happy to have it back now. But yeah, so I'm happy to be back.
All right. How about you, Tyler? I've asked them what they're doing. What are you up to?
Same old. I went on 2 more shoots. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it.
You've also finished a record number of screenplays for yourself this year.
Oh yeah,
along the lines
5
of,
more than
So 6 total screenplays, and it's February.
Ooh, you need to teach me. You need to teach me because I'm still like working on one. So
It's like you can add to it by taking someone else's script that they don't want to write anymore and fix it.
sweet. That's good.
Yes, it counts. I count it as one.
That's some
Nice.
writing credits. That counts. Yeah, I'll count that. Let's see. What
about you, Snitty?
I was gonna say MrSniDBitS has been working.
Nice.
Work, kids.
Yep.
You know,
Sounds about right. Life.
Yeah. I have been writing for the Nerd Initiative a little bit more lately. So there's that. And then yeah, I'm back on TikTok, but I said that last week. But anyway. So yeah, we've got three movies we absolutely are going to want to talk about here. We are going to start off with the lighthearted one and we will end with the heavy one, but I think it's only because we generally take things in chronological release order. But let's go with Girls Trip, first movie out. And we are going to be talking about this 2017 release. I believe 2017 is accurate. I might be wrong. Yeah. Queen Latifah, as well as Jada Pinkett Smith as the biggest names in the movie. And then Tiffany Haddish, who was up and coming at that time. And then now much more of a known name.
Regina Hall.
And then Regina Hall, who I can never forget from the Scary Movie movies. So
Brenda.
Right.
If you haven't seen Honk for Jesus,
I saw.
Is she in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's amazing.
Phenomenal in that.
She's amazing in that.
It's probably her best performance I've seen. I mean,
yeah, and that's because she's like in the forefront. Like usually she plays supporting people a lot, so you see she's there for the comedic stuff and like she throws in a joke. But this one was like centered on her character, and it was like
a lot of range for her.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this is what we've been missing. Like, yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty.
But she's also great in the Best Man TV show.
Yeah, the Best Man series.
You know,
right.
Final chapter. You know that thing. She's pretty great in that too. So
nice. Okay.
I mean, she's great in all those movies as well. But yeah. She's great.
And there's a fellow Best Man that pops up in here in Girls Trip.
In Girls Trip.
Isn't it Morris Chestnut?
Does he show up?
Yeah, he has like a cameo. Yeah, he was like in the on stage. He's like barely in it.
No,
I saw Common on stage.
Common.
Oh yeah, Common.
Yeah, I promise you he's in it.
I'm just glancing. I'm not saying you're wrong. There were a lot of people on stage.
He's probably not credited.
But like,
is he
just kind of thrown in there because there's a lot of people when they're at
What
Essence.
scene?
It's the scene where they're like kind of going crazy for him. He like comes down to like greet fans and it's in the whole like Essence like stage area.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to read.
Now I have to go watch it again just to see Morris Chestnut. But then of course you've got Kate Walsh who plays the almost ridiculous agent.
I've been around women like her.
And
oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't the way you expect to see Kate Walsh. You know, I always expect Addison from the Grey's Anatomy series, where she's very serious, right? And she doesn't joke at all. In this, she's kind of a caricature of like just this kind of funny, ridiculous agent. So I don't know.
Kate Walsh kept like morphing into Kristen Wiig for me. Like
I could see that. Kristen Wiig might have gone for this role. Like you never know. It could have worked with either of them. But why don't we go ahead? Who had never seen this movie before this weekend? So Brian and so I actually had seen it before. This was my second viewing. So why don't we go ahead and just start here? Brian, what do you think of Girls Trip?
I loved it. Man, it was fucking wild. Yeah, I was not expecting like it's pretty raunchy. I was not expecting that, and a lot of the raunchy comedies are kind of like stuck with like white male kind of comedies. You know, we see a lot of those raunchy comedies, and like Bridesmaids kind of like did it a little bit too, but this was like I don't know, I can't really say, but I think this is kind of like a first, or it's not really done as much with like a black led film, you know, especially with women black leads. And it was like refreshing to kind of see like just them go like kind of just let loose and go crazy. And it was great seeing Jada Pinkett Smith in this. Like I really loved her in this. She just like, I don't know, she had such a great role in this, and seeing her in kind of a different light. And then this might be my favorite Tiffany Haddish role. I mean, she was really great, and she was hilarious. I don't know how they shot the banana grapefruit scene.
That's the best scene in the movie, honestly.
I do not know how they shot that, but
almost so intense that you feel embarrassed. You're like
man,
you get that,
I
auto
was like,
embarrassment
wow,
feel.
like
yeah,
it was incredible. Yeah. And of course, I have like a crush on Regina Hall, so
all right,
yeah,
Mm.
it's pretty
It
great.
just checked all the boxes for Brad.
yeah.
Just like crush done,
So
new light done, grapefruit scene
I was
done.
gonna say 3 grapefruits up. Is that what we're talking? Like you're
Yeah.
happy with it? I love it. Tyler, what did you think of Girls Trip?
I loved it. I actually it was great to watch this type of movie after watching, because I watched The Woman King and then Black
Right,
Panther
yeah,
and
same.
this one, not ready for it, which
Good
made it all the
palate
better.
cleanser.
Yeah. Everyone is super Tiffany Haddish, man. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I thought it was her, she made it her job to get Queen Latifah.
Yeah, trying to get people to break.
Yeah, and I could have sworn they
That's all.
cracked a couple of times.
Yeah, they had
especially
to.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun. I agree with Brian. I haven't seen a comedy like this led by on top of it being Black women, it's women leading it. So that was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lala, you picked this movie. Obviously, we wanted to go kind of the opposite in a sense of what we were getting with the more serious tones of The Woman King and Wakanda Forever. But why Girls Trip? I mean, other than we realized it was, almost the exact opposite in
yeah. Well, one, it was because we were doing female led, and this is female led. This is also the first time a film that was written also by African American women grossed over 100 million at the box office.
Nice.
Because Malcolm D. Lee and Kenya Barris also helped write this, but also Tracy, I believe her name is Tracy Oliver. Because sometimes people are like Oliver or Olivier, some people get fancy with it. So I think it's Oliver though. I picked this film because one, it has 4 actresses in it that I enjoy. Sometimes I think people forget that Jada Pinkett acts because of all the stuff that's in the media and who she's transitioning into being now with the Red Table Talk and stuff like that. I think people forget that she's actually a genuine, really good actress. This was a breakout for Tiffany Haddish, whereas her comedy and her just kind of being very loud and just very she's the friend that because to me this was if Sex in the City was made for me, right? Even though I love Sex in the City, got the whole box set because I enjoy stuff. But to me, this was everything these women went through. I was I could feel it on some level, and I've either been one of them or I've had friends like them across my life. So it was just a nice open book to watch. And then I wanted you guys to experience it because I don't think this film would be on your be on your purview. I don't think it'll be on your view to watch.
Totally.
And so I was what can we get the guys to watch? Then I think that they haven't really. It is not to say that you didn't want to see it. It's just that some stuff doesn't just come past your table. You're just
right, yeah, totally.
And so I wanted you guys to kind of partake in just something fun, but also it's grounded at times too. And so.
It's a heavy topic. It's not the lightest of topics.
Yeah.
Well, it's good you mentioned that too, because I've seen all of them in various other projects, separate, what I mean? So, and I think this is the first time since Set It Off that Queen Latifah and Jada had worked together. So it's been
together,
yeah.
A long while. Set It Off. We're talking mid-90s,
that was 97.
Right? Yeah.
97, yeah.
I wanted you guys to partake in that. What about you, Snitty? What did you think?
Turns out I own this movie. And
wow.
Right, I know, after all that. And it's my wife that would have been the one that would have purchased this, so my wife has good taste. And my wife. And so I had seen it, like I said, this was my second viewing. But even though I'd seen it and it has some wildly memorable parts, I had forgotten all of them. Man. So when I got back to the grapefruit banana scene, I was just good. What? I forgot about this. It was wild. I love Haddish's ability to continually curse people out, but keep making it original as she goes. Like,
Right.
that's one of my favorite parts, especially at the very end where she's like mad and it's like, I love you, but fuck you. Like, I love that so much. I think you guys are completely right about Jada. I think that she shows this meek characteristic of the character for most of the film, and as soon as she just kind of sheds that, it was like almost like they flipped a switch when they got to the club, and she all of a sudden, she didn't have her game back, but she still was now ready to go out and try.
I love that whole scene of her trying to
hit on
talk
dudes.
to guys. Like,
so I got my placenta, and I divvied it up, and then I put a little bit in my food.
Plop
every
one of those
day.
in there.
Like,
it's like, oh, she don't know how to have conversation.
It was a bit much.
That's it.
Plus, I was so like, I know she's little, but man, she is
little.
so little.
Yeah, she's so little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's
then,
tiny.
Yeah. I went back because we had already had another Queen Latifah movie recently on the Real Study, and that was The Last Holiday. And so I was like, oh yeah, that was like 2006. So, I know she's still acting right now on a TV show. And so I went and looked, and I was like, I know she's been around a long time in movies, but I didn't realize it was 91 that she was in Jungle Fever as her like first big role. And just hasn't quit since. Like she's a mainstay in Hollywood at this point.
Yeah. I mean, she's been on like Fresh Prince and stuff like that. Like she's heard she's like,
she earned
people
her way
are
to
like,
the top. Yeah,
she's earned. I feel like she's earned her way to being on Equalizer, and people believe in her to be like this like badass on a TV show. Because I just feel like if Denzel Washington can do it, he's like 60. Like,
agreed.
Why can't Queen Latifah do it? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I'm waiting for her Hollywood Walk of Fame star because I think she'll eventually get.
She getting one. She definitely getting one.
Ice-T just got one.
Does she not have one?
Yeah, Ice-T just got one.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have one.
So,
and that's just like, if she's done music, she's very big in music, and and then she's like she's like a legend, like an icon in music and rap, and then she turns to do movies, and she's won an Academy Award. Like, she's like, she's amazing. So
I agree.
I love her. So
this movie, though, you did mention how you relate to a lot of the characters. I'm hoping that it's like more just the sensibility of the characters and not the actions in which some of these characters went through, like New Orleans and the zip line.
Yeah. I mean, I've peed on myself, but not on people.
I love that Haddish.
It's like how much pressure is built up.
Right. I love how Haddish's character was like, you're my friend. The only way to save you is to just go out there and do it myself.
And
because
do
it'll
it
be
too,
memorable that two ladies did
I'm
this.
gonna do it better.
Not just one.
Yeah.
And then the one that's,
because to me, that's like the ride or die friend. It's like, okay, you feel nervous? Well, shoot, I do it too. Then we gonna be in this. We both gonna be pissy together. Like, and I think I love that.
Your bloodline,
like
is
I
nasty.
said, your bloodline is nasty.
I love it.
Yo, bloodline is
nasty. Yeah, the way she said it too. It's like,
I think a lot of the things that Tiffany did was like, they gave her a little, I think she said it too in an interview, that they gave her like open space to kind of like improv a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like some of that had to just be
like her humor, basically, right?
Yeah, I think they let her go, and then they kind of cut it for the scene, So
or did 10 takes and was like, okay, a little bit of this one, a little bit of that,
a little bit of that one, right?
Yeah, because I'm sure like every take was probably ruined. Like they had to piece them together,
right?
Yeah,
it would be hard not to like that whole grapefruit banana. We could just sit here and talk about it for half an hour. I would not have been able to sit in that room as a crew member and not like either turn bright red or laugh or like I gotta leave.
If I'd have known earlier that was the scene that you guys, all three of you collectively, that's the scene. I think there's something that they talked about that scene or something like that. I would have to find it. If I can find it, I'll put it in the Discord.
It's the fact that like her eyes were like bloodshot. I was like, oh, so she's doing it. Like, it's not even.
Yeah, she's like committed. Yeah, I mean,
like she'd pause and make a comment, right? Like, oh my.
Yeah. Like,
I'm busted up about it right now. Like,
I really feel like they weren't in the same room as her.
No, totally. I was thinking that too. Like they had to do their
like
reactions separate.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like at first they were, and then they were like, "There's no way we can keep this up." So they were like, "She just gonna do her stuff, and then we gonna put y'all in and just film y'all's reactions."
No way.
Because she went hard body. I was like, "Okay, girl."
Yeah, like.
That's the part that I don't relate to because I've never done that before. So.
Right. It was like oddly educational too.
Right.
I was like, I never
don't do this with a pineapple. I almost killed myself. Right? That's a good line.
Amazing.
She had so many good lines. Like,
That part
It's just
killed me. That whole scene. That whole
to me, this film is so good because it's like collectively they're all friends, but also you always know in certain friend groups, two are close, or stuff like that. Like they all cross blend, but you have like Queen Latifah's character and Regina Hall's character are like they're close, and so is Tiffany Haddish's character and Jada's character. Like they're close.
Yeah.
They're all close together, but they have like those like tighter bonds. And I love that like it was full of comedy, but then it was also full of like we have history and you've done me wrong and I've tried to get over it and now here we go again. You're doing it again. Like I've tried to push it, but here we go again. And it's like one of those things where it's like everybody had to grow up in this scenario, even if they thought they were. And it's like, nah, because like Regina Hall's character was like she needed to grow out of her marriage. Like she needed to get out of that.
Right.
She's looking at it as a business deal, but it's like you can't your heart in business, like that's not
do that so long. Yeah.
For so long, right.
So,
I
will say that was like the only like thing for me that was maybe a negative was like that was pretty predictable, like that whole plot line of like, oh, there's something too perfect about their relationship in the beginning. I'm like, something's gonna happen here with him, especially when like you first see like what's
Mike Coulter.
Yeah, Mike Coulter and the way like Regina Hall's like what was her like agent or whatever.
Kate Walsh is getting all up on
Kate Walsh. The way there was like that was like a little hint like okay, there's something else going on here. So but it wasn't something like took me out and ruined it. It was just like okay, I kind of saw that.
I mean, part of me feels like that was like part of the storyline for you to already kind of like know, because like there was to me there was no hiding it, because it's like even when they were together and she was like they're like laughing, I'm like y'all don't like each other. Like I can like just the initial moment I watched it, like the first time I watched it, I was just like they don't like each other. Let's see how that plays out throughout the rest of the film, because it was like they didn't, how sometimes movies do stuff, they like mask things. They'll be like they'll really up the relationship factor, make you think it's like really nice. And to me, it was like they did that without actually doing that, because like I could either it was just like bad directing, or it was meant to be, because it was just like I never thought that they were a good couple. I never thought that they were.
Well, that
like,
could just be that they made sure the charisma wasn't perfect on purpose. They wanted to, the two actors didn't totally pair up, which they're like, okay, now fake it in these moments,
right? Yeah.
But I think with comedies, it's tricky because most people aren't going to a comedy to be like, hey, let me get some unique tropes. Let me get some, some twists and stuff. I think the jokes in this movie are what elevate it. While
for me, it wasn't like that's not the whole movie.
Right.
Like, for me, it's more about them, and that whole trip.
Because I could care less about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really more
dynamic between the four of them.
Yeah. It's really more about the banana and the grapefruit.
100%.
Yeah. I'm gonna make you guys banana grapefruit shirts.
I would wear it.
Yeah, I would rock
I
that.
genuinely would.
Yeah.
If you make me up the graphic, I can get that done up, no problem.
I got you, man. Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get her best line from it, and I'm gonna put it right underneath it. So yeah.
I did like, even though again we're talking about comedy tropes, so it's they're either right on the nose or close to it. But I liked how the lady that was kind of watching to discern if she was going to recruit Ryan and Stuart, just kept thinking that what was happening was normal, and she liked it. And then I'm just like, oh crap! They better keep these antics up on the new show after they get the deal at the end. Because if they don't, that's not what they sold her. Like they sold her this kind of spicy, weird, like chopping sausages show.
But not really, because at the end, when she did her whole speech about letting go and all the kind of stuff, they still wanted her. So they wanted her for what she gave them at the end, though.
That's true. That's
so you didn't.
Point.
So they didn't need to.
But by
they don't need her.
By having Queen Latifah's character back on the show with her together, we all know that there's gonna be some
it's
banana
gonna be some hijinks.
grapefruits on the stage.
Yeah, it's gonna be some hijinks. Yeah. I just love it because I think like people, when you have friends that are way more successful than you have a
is that what you're
successful?
saying?
Yes, successful. You have a tendency to like, try to be on their level. Like I don't have these friends anymore, but I had friends who were like just way more successful than me, and like they have more money than me. They can go anywhere, they can do anything, and then they would be like, "Hey, you want to go?" And I'm like, "I can't afford it." And then it's like, and now I feel out of place, or now I'm feeling bad about myself. So Queen Latifah's character really hit for me. Like she's really she's like her own brand. She's trying to start herself all over again after being like kind of dropped by somebody that she trusted, and then trying to build herself. Like she putting tags in because she will return the outfit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, so like stuff like that. Like I've never done that because I was just like, if I can't buy it, then I can't get it. But it's still like the connotation of having to feel like you have to be a certain way for people that you've known since you were like in college and stuff like that. Like it that part like really hit for me because I've been in those spaces and places. And so yeah,
like it. I think if I was going to relate to one of the characters the most at this point, it would be the Lisa character, because I've become a recluse in so many ways and don't really like going out. And I think if I did go out, I might get wild because I used to be a wild person. So I kind of relate to her on that level.
Yeah.
I think that's why I enjoyed her character. And I think, Brian, you made it a very good point. Like, wait, she acts. That's right. And she does a good job. Or was that Lala's point? Either way, I think both of you made the point. That Jada doesn't always show us that. And then she comes out and even something as simple as a
or
comedy.
she's in like smaller roles.
Right.
Magic Mike, right? I think she was.
Yeah.
She was great
or like Gotham. People loved her in Gotham, and when they got rid of her character,
so
it was like
it
was a whole thing. Like I've never seen her in Gotham, but it was a whole thing when she left Gotham. Like that's how much she was on Gotham. I was like,
she carried season 1 is why. She's one of the main reasons season 1 and part of season 2 was so good. Not that the other actors didn't do a good job, but it just she was the focal point because of how good she did. At least from my perspective. But
I mean, I love when she had she had a TV show on like on TNT where she was a nurse or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. But she was amazing. Like she was absolutely amazing. And I think the show had like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, maybe like 2, something like that. And it got canceled. And my entire feelings were hurt. Like I think it's called Hawthorne. It was called Hawthorne.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it was called Hawthorne, and it was a solid show. And they canceled it, and I was like, I'm gonna burn the world. But yeah.
Tyler, you got any more? Sorry about that, La.
No, you're good.
Tyler, got any more you want to add?
The absinthe scene. Like I know it's like tropey, but it's so good. Like I love the scene where they're like, we can't. How are we gonna get to her? She's too far. And then they turn around
right there.
So
and the lamp.
No, yeah, Queen Latifah like making out with the lamp like it was a guy. Like that was like, oh my god. See, Ray No, her nursery show was so good. See, Ray No, it was so good.
I do like that it was tropey, but I think that sometimes, like I said, comedies when they're kind of on the nose, as long as they do a good job with the over the top acting, then it works. And I think they all did a great job of that. Some of the camera techniques during that scene really helped as well, because they definitely kind of gave you that like whooshy feeling. And absinthe is no joke. Like that's not stuff you.
Yeah. Honestly, that scene made me.
But
no,
that scene made me want to try absinthe. I was like, I just want to sip.
It's not. It's.
I doubt I would be like that.
Yeah, just make a trip that.
But, like I would, but I still wanted to take like a shot and see just like.
You should. If you're gonna do it though, you gotta like do it the classic way with the sugar cube and the absinthe spoon and like get all 1800s about it.
Oh, I need Snitty to come out of retirement. Like he up here giving lessons.
I haven't drank in a decade, so you know that's a whole nother
thing.
But
well, we got time.
I still have. I think now you can't see it in the shot, but up here on top of this shelf is a bottle of absinthe with about that much left in the bottom, because I just was like, I can't get rid of this. This is for emergencies. You never know when you need. When you need the green fairy, right? You never know.
Yeah. So, yeah. I was trying to think of like, is there anything else in this? Oh, one of my favorite scenes is the I never understand dance scenes in movies where like everybody just break out in the same dance move. I never understand those. I pray one day if it doesn't happen, I'll do it myself. If I do have a dance scene in my film, I will show you them doing it before. Like I will show you like this is what they do as a
they
as
did
a friend
this
group.
In the 90s.
They did this in the 90s. They're doing it again.
Yeah, I like that.
Because just to be, because like honestly, if you have rhythm, you can honestly do any routine to any song if you have rhythm. So like it's plausible to believe that like a dance move that they did back then to a certain beat, they can do it again. But just to break out in a dance battle between you and this girl, to me, that it was ridiculous, but it's a good ridiculous. It's not a bad ridiculous because I enjoyed it. But my favorite scene is when they're all in the wigs and everything in the bar scene, and Jada's character punches the girl, and then she goes, but mine wore off. So
Yeah,
what's
more
up?
yeah.
Like that's Baltimore Jada. That ain't Jada. That's Baltimore Jada. And to me, that was like the realest part of the film to me because it's just I replayed that scene so many times. But I thought that's like one of my favorite scenes. And then they all leave and they be walking down the street like
Multicolored wigs still in there.
Did you guys think that dance scene, like, I thought it was gonna lead into they were still like tripping and they weren't actually like cool when they were
like
dancing.
they were actually
like,
standing on the wall in the bar or something.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna do
yeah.
that.
That's
But it's
funny.
almost funnier that they didn't
That
do
would've
it
been
like
funny,
that.
Yeah. But honestly, Ty, I don't look at you rewriting. I like it.
Tyler's
like
cut of
that.
Girls Trip, right? That's
I know, right? I actually like that because it would have been funny if that happened. Like, well, like, oh, this was all like a bad trip. Like, but I also like that she got punched for real. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like that,
especially because Jada's like she punched like
She's so
up.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We didn't even talk about Lorenz Tate being in the film as the love interest.
Delicious.
Well, that's what I assumed you would say because he's not a bad looking dude.
Listen, he does not age. Okay.
And then Mike
like
Coulter,
40,
of course, Luke
Yes.
Cage showing up,
Mike Coulter.
in this role.
And I will say this too: they had some. Everyone in this film is essentially brown skinned people. Like isn't any like overly light skinned people. They're all like either dark skinned or brown skinned people, and I dig that too because, and honestly, all three of these movies, dark skinned people, like dark or very brown skinned people, and I, as a light skinned person, I dig it, man, because like we everywhere. You know what I mean? Like we still need some stuff in Hollywood, but like. It's like taboo to put somebody that's a few shades darker
It's
than
like
you on
more
screen.
possible.
Yeah, it's like
cast a
what do
light
you-
skin.
right.
Yeah,
What do you mean? So like I'm, I loved it. I'm like, please, because I'm hoping this transitions to us actually getting a dark skin Storm. But that's a whole different conversation. But I'm just saying,
Like it should be. Yeah.
It is a sort of another conversation, but not really. It's still we're talking about a lead and
Marvel,
and hope. Yeah, exactly.
And she was in Wakanda, so it still kind of blends in. You know what I mean?
Right.
She was in Wakanda in the comics, so the same.
Exactly. Well, being that was a comedy, we actually talked about that for half an hour, which is shocking. Most comedies we do 20 minutes best. So
we did 15 on a grapefruit alone. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. But why don't we go ahead and rate this movie, and we can get on to the pre-review.
It deserves
and then
15.
we can jump into the Woman King. So we're going in the same order. Brian, what did you rate the Girls Trip?
I'll go with 8.5.
Nice, solid rating.
3 grapefruits up.
3. Tyler, what did you rate it?
I'm gonna give it 9 grapefruits.
9 grapefruits. All right.
Grapefruits.
And 1 banana.
Man, that's yeah.
The 0.5 is the banana. So
Yeah.
Just a little bit of the banana right at the top.
Yeah.
I like it. How about you, Lo?
So yeah. For me, I'm gonna mimic Ty here. I'm gonna give it a 9 because to me it's just fun, but it also has some levity. And to me, a comedy is great when it's fun with some levity. So yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna side with you guys. I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. I think that it is a solid comedy. I laughed out loud. I'm a cynic when it comes to jokes. I do tend to be the person that goes, that was funny, and I'll say it was funny rather than actually laughing. People are like, you really think it was funny? I was like, it didn't make me chuckle, so it's not that funny, but it made me giggle inside, and so an inside giggle gets a hey, that was funny. But this one actually made me like ruckus laugh, belly laugh,
For sure.
like
Same.
fall over,
I wish I could've-
tears.
I wish I could have been there for it.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we can all like watch a movie together.
And then we should record us watching it. That way we can get the
honestly,
group
I
reaction
really feel
shot.
like now that I know that like this is like a little pivot, but not really because it's the show. I really feel like we will transition to a point where we will record pre-recorded things and watch movies together and do reactions together. I feel like that's a natural step to where we're going. But right now, this is still like fun. But I can see that in our future.
At least one movie
Like,
a week. we could
Even
try
no,
to do.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It ain't gonna be 3 movies that we
No.
review.
We'll pick the one that we're all the most
No.
excited about, or the one that we've seen least of us have
Yeah.
seen. Right. So
I'm sorry.
nobody's
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
it,
if
or
we're
one
getting-
has. Well, yeah. No,
yeah,
yeah.
if we're getting like first
We're gonna
reactions or new
take-
reactions. Like,
Yeah.
And then, because like my thing would be this: we could pick 3, react to one, and then review
All
the
3.
other 2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You had to review. We wouldn't have to review the all 3 because if we do a reaction to one,
You
we can
get
talk about it at the end. We have our reactions,
and then we have
can
our
talk about it.
10-minute, 20-minute discussion right at the end.
Right
Yeah,
at
I was
the
thinking that
end.
too. That's a good idea.
And then we could talk about, and then we can react to reaction. Talk
Everyone
about
on
too.
YouTube right now, you're getting an exclusive conversation.
This
about
is
what we're
how
gonna
we
do.
make
Yeah,
things
this is
happen
like
on the real study. This
planning.
is yeah.
I mean, this is the only time we get together. This is when we can't talk about it.
It works. It works. Besides, if they like the idea, they can be like, "We want to see this," and you guys can, of course, make your
Yeah.
comments.
Same.
I think we would have to do it earlier in the week so that we could edit it down and get it ready for Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll have to figure that out. But again, I can
Yeah,
always throw it up on the
exactly.
Discord, and you guys could all follow, and join us and watch with us. We can all watch together
For sure.
as a community. Recording.
Ty didn't
us,
like that
so,
idea. He was like, I don't.
Nah,
He's like that.
don't.
I mean,
let
I'll
them
laugh
come
at
in.
everything. Like we're talking about laughing. I'll just
He's like,
laugh.
no, no. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next
All right.
film.
So let's move on to the pre-review, actually, and that way we can come back and just
Oh, sweet.
double up and talk about both the films because they are fairly related to some degree. That said, we'll be right back.
Biggie's pre-review brought to you by The Real Study, Sunday nights, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Welcome to Biggie's Pre-Review. The Pre-Review is where I tell you about upcoming movies coming to movie theaters and beyond. This is for the week February 20th through 26th. First on my list is the drama thriller The Strays. A black woman's meticulously crafted life of privilege starts to unravel when 2 strangers show up in her quaint suburban town. This movie looks like it's going to be a hell of a thriller. The Strays comes out on Netflix on February 22nd. Next on my list is one I've been waiting for, Cocaine Bear. An oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and teens converges in a Georgia forest where a 500-pound black bear goes on a murderous rampage after unintentionally ingesting cocaine. This movie stars Ray Liotta, Kerry Russell, Margot Martindale, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. And I gotta add, this movie was directed by Elizabeth Banks. The thriller Cocaine Bear premieres in movie theaters February 24th. Next on my list is the animated comedy Mummies. 3 ancient mummies end up in present-day London and embark on a journey in search of an old ring belonging to the royal family, stolen by the ambitious archaeologist Lord Carnaby. This looks like it's going to be a fun time, and it stars Sean Bean. Mummies has a limited release in theaters coming February 24th. Here's another one I've been looking forward to, the adventure comedy We Have Ghosts. The discovery that their house is haunted by a ghost named Ernest makes Kevin's family a social media sensation. But when Kevin and Ernest get to the bottom of the mystery of Ernest's past, they become targets of the CIA. Now, this movie stars David Harbour, Jennifer Coolidge, and Anthony Mackie, amongst others. The adventure comedy We Have Ghosts premieres on Netflix on February 24th. Next is the action thriller Ambush. A young group of elite commandos led by Captain Drummond are tasked with collecting highly classified information that can change the fate of the war. This movie stars Aaron Eckhart and Jonathan Rhys Meyers. The action thriller Ambush premieres in limited release in movie theaters on February 24th. Next up is the action movie Die Hard. This movie follows a fictionalized version of Kevin Hart as he tries to become an action movie star. He attends a school run by Ron Wilcox where he attempts to learn the ropes of how to become one of the industry's most coveted action stars. This movie stars Kevin Hart, Tyler Antonius, Natalie Emmanuel, Josh Hartnett, and others. The action movie Die Hard is coming to Amazon Prime Video on February 24th. Next up is the drama The Year of the Dog. Matt, a loner alcoholic at rock bottom, finds refuge at a sponsor's farm where he meets Yupik, a stray husky with a unique talent. This movie stars Rob Grabo, Michael Spears, and John Proudstar. This movie looks like it's going to be good and possibly touching. The movie The Year of the Dog has a limited release in movie theaters on February 24th. And last on my list is My Happy Ending. My Happy Ending follows a famous star who finds herself in a British hospital room with 3 other women who help her. This movie stars Andie MacDowell, Miriam Margolyes, and Sally Phillips. This movie looks like it's going to be fun, and it's always good seeing Andie MacDowell in anything. The movie My Happy Ending has a limited release in movie theaters on February 24th. Well, it looks like that's all for the pre-review this week, and I hope to see you out there.
All right, we are back from the pre-review, and thank you as always, Biggie, for your amazing up-to-date
Yes, Biggie.
on
Thank
all
you,
the
Biggie.
movies. We love it, we love it. So thank you for that. And yeah, some good movies look like they're coming out. I'm excited for Cocaine Bear. I watched
Oh my God, yes.
Elizabeth Banks was talking about when she came up with the story for this movie that it was based on a reality where somebody had dropped some cocaine in the forest and they found a bear dead like a week later. And of course, she just kind of fills in the blank, which, you know, who doesn't want that?
They imagine what happened in between.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Elizabeth Banks movies are usually pretty awesome. So, all right, we're going to move on to The Woman King.
Woman King, hey.
And this is, of course, a very recent movie. It just came out last year, starring Viola Davis. And we're going to do that. There we go.
Oscar.
Boyega,
Excuse me.
Lashana Lynch.
There are
so,
many people. Yeah, I was going to get to it, but I didn't want to just start saying names. But yes, absolutely, all of the above.
Yeah, Voldemort's son is in this. That's crazy. I'm just saying.
Wait, what?
Oh,
yeah.
Ray Fiennes'
The white guy
kid is the
yeah,
one white
Hero
guy in the
Fiennes
movie.
plays the one white guy.
I did not know that was his son.
That's cool.
Yeah. Tom Riddle himself, because he did play Tom Riddle in The Deathly Hallows. So yes.
Oh, I wondered why he looked familiar. That's
Yeah.
He does have a punchable face, not gonna lie.
He does. No, he does. Like 100%. 100%. Yes.
So
Agreed. Oscar snub.
Why don't we go ahead and start with Tyler? And what did you think of The Woman King?
This is my second time watching it. The first time I watched it in theaters. I don't know if and this isn't like a doc on it. I enjoyed it more this time around. I don't know if I was paying attention because when I had watched it the first time, it was 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, I want to watch it before it leaves. But yeah, it was really good. I love mother-daughter, relationship stories like that. John Boyega, man, he keeps getting stiffed. This man, I don't know what he has to do to prove that he shouldn't have to prove himself anymore at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool to see a bunch of kick-ass, female characters. Viola Davis, Cryface, always gets me every single time. I can't handle. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's not it, but
that's your initial impression
for this portion.
I like it. It. Lala, did we picked Wakanda Forever, but I think I suggested this one as just an addition. But what did you think of The Woman King? Was it first, second viewing?
Second viewing. I saw it in theaters, just like Ty. I enjoyed this. Pretty much anything Viola Davis. I'm just kind of can I watch it? Let me watch it. Let me see what's going on. Anything Viola Davis. Also, I love John Boyega, and the reason why I love him in this film, is because he says that he was I ain't had to do nothing. He literally said that he was they will be working out, I'll just be eating watching them do stuff. He was like, they had to do all the heavy lifting. He's like, I'd have to be there around beautiful women. He was like, that was a good shoot for me. Like, he was just like, the way he talked about it was just so great. But also I just love seeing women, any actor really, just like mainly like actors, but we're, it's a film full of women, so I'm just gonna say women, but like just love it when actors have the chance to push themselves physically. As messed up as it, I know they went through a lot and it's like a lot of work, but I feel like, that's kind of like the work I want to do. I want somebody like push me physically, because obviously I can't do it myself, but I would love somebody to push me physically. But I just love like watching the behind the scenes of like them training, about how they worked out like 6-7 times a week, how they trained with different weapons and stuff like that. Initially this movie was like everything I needed it to be. It was like strong women when they were on the field, but also strong women personally, but also soft at the same time. Like, women can be all these things, and I think this film showed that women can be all these things. And the action was just top notch. Like, you don't see like Black women get handled like this when it comes to like choreography. Like, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. The first film that comes to mind is Proud Mary with Taraji P. Henson. The choreography on that, not a fan. It was, I felt like she got let down a little bit, and I felt like Viola Davis and crew did not get let down with this one. I felt like they really, and you could say budget, however you want to say it, but I still feel like they got, the fighting in this was amazing. And to me, it's all practical fighting, because a lot of people that I talked to are like, these women couldn't take down no man twice their size. And I was like, it kind of shows that they can't either. But it shows that they use other things to their advantage. They use their bodies and things against them, and they take them down in certain ways. I was just like, we smarter.
It wasn't easy for them. Yeah.
No, right. It wasn't.
But they did
a lot of times, right? Yeah. But they did it. A lot of times it was 2-on-1. Like, sometimes it was like, if I slice them here, you stab them here. Like, we did this together, type of thing. So I don't know. This film was just great, and then storyline wise, there was a lot of controversy about
right.
about the Dahomey tribe dealing in slavery, and they brought that up in the first like 10 minutes of the film. Like, they didn't shy up across it. It's like throughout the whole film. But also I feel like Black writers, Black actors, Black storytelling should be able to take liberties, because Barnum and Bailey was actually killing elephants, and you didn't see any of that in The Greatest Showman. So nobody had a problem with that.
These are still movies, right? We're still dealing with film, which there's some artistic liberties in almost all films.
Right.
These aren't documentaries. If it was a documentary, we'd have a totally different discussion. So.
And this film is saying it's based on true events. Nobody was like, the real life true story of it's based on true events. So like, I love the fact that I was able to see some truth enough to go research my own self, to be like, what's up with this tribe I've never heard of before, but also was able to engage in a nice story about not only this king and his country and his people, but like these women, and then like their different relationships with each other and all around. Like, I think everybody did a phenomenal job. And when Lashana Lynch died, I cried tears in the theater. I was out the game.
Yeah.
When I was like, I knew it. I was so mad. I was like, I was mad in the theater.
It's because you fall so deeply just in love with the character. Yeah. She's such a great character. Because we're Nawi, right? We're the younger girl who comes in, so we're following with her. So like, the love and affection that she has for her, we have for that character now. And then when she dies, it's just like, my God! Like, why
did she was screaming in her ear when she was crying?
I was, man, I know. I was thinking the same thing. Man, like, she's blowing her eardrum out right now.
No, sure.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, I wonder if they had like a conversation, like once they cut, like,
or maybe she put an earplug in.
Like, blew my ear out. Yeah,
there was no angle that
it was good.
Her, so, yeah.
I don't know. You could see it right in her ear. You'd be able to see her plug.
That's fair.
Yeah.
She probably apologized. The most I've seen that girl do, because she's about, I know she looks like 15.
Right.
I know she like 15 or something like that in the movie, like 15, 16 in the movie. She's like 30 in real life.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
she's a grown woman.
Right?
It does look.
She looks like a child.
So yeah,
she looks like a child.
Crazy,
she said it's been like that her whole life. In the interview, she's like, it's like that my whole life. She's like, to have her play like it's always weird to play younger, because people play younger like it's stupid, and being younger isn't stupid, So I felt like for a 30-year-old to play person 15, like pretty much half her age. I think she nailed it, and she really nailed like the angst and the anger and the talk back and the so I thought she was great.
I agree.
Yeah.
Brian, was this your first, second viewing?
Second.
Second.
Saw it in theater. Yeah, this was like one of my most anticipated movies of last year, and then it ended up being like one of my favorites. Yeah, Viola Davis was like 100% snubbed for an Oscar. She should have been in there. Viola Davis was very much behind this movie. Like, I don't know if this movie would have got made without her.
I don't think
really
it would have.
Yeah, she really pushed for it. And I think to some degree, I think the level of like accuracy and quality is a lot of that goes to her too, wanting to like, just because how dedicated she was to that. So like Lala, like to your point of like the choreography, fight choreography, I think she really wanted to like, get that across as accurately as possible, and to acknowledge the people that brought up the whole like controversy. I think some of those people were the people that were bringing it up were, I think that was an attempt to just try to like discredit this film, in a lot of ways. Just bring this up. It's like, oh, of course you guys are going to bring this up for the first time we see, huge cast of all Black women, set in Africa too. And like, like, let's go ahead and try to take this down. But I think it's still very successful, even regardless of that. And they do address, they talk about multiple times, and even at the very end, they like talk about it, how they're not gonna like, they're no longer, we're not involved in this anymore. It's an incredible film. I think Lashana Lynch, Viola Davis is freaking amazing, but Lashana Lynch stealing some scenes in here.
Every scene to me she was in, I loved every scene she was in.
And she brought some like humor in there, and she was some so funny, like so much great stuff. And she was just like, I mean, it's hard to like take your eyes off her because she's she's like that in like everything she's into. I mean, in No Time to Die, she's like intense in that as well. And she's so intense. And her like, that scene when she gets shot, man, that was like both of them together, just like the way Lashana Lynch is like still trying to like stay alive, and just that fight is still in her the whole time. You can see it, and just the heartbreak, like I didn't see that coming, and I think I was like audible in the theater, just like audible.
I definitely
was like shit. But
I will. No,
it's an amazing film, up and down, just like everything about it. Like the opening is a great opening.
Just them really coming out the bush.
Just like, oh man,
I was like,
oh, down. Right? And
it's very Dora Milaje, even though I know that the Dora Milaje, I think the Dora Milaje was based off of the whole
total. Oh yeah, totally.
But it was still giving like Dora Milaje, like you don't see them and then you see them and it's like, whoop, whoop, you like, oh snap.
Yeah, I almost referred to him as a Dora Milaje, but it's Dahomey. That's the thing too. Like their names are so close. So it's like, it's Dahomey and Dora Milaje. Great. It's a great movie.
I think one of my favorite parts of the film is that they keep the language for Dahomey in English, but everything else in Portuguese and whatnot, you don't get to understand it. They don't subtitle it. It's just them talking, and it gives you the impression that you understand Dahomey, which is very kind of a creative way to approach it. Because most times they'll, like in Hunt for Red October, they switch at the beginning of the movie into English, which is clever, but it's, this one, you just know that you understand everybody in the Dahomey Kingdom. Viola Davis, I think in this movie proves that she's one of the top tier actresses in Hollywood, period. Like you give her anything and she's going to do it. The fact that she didn't even get nominated is ridiculous on all levels. I also love that this film
is surprising.
No, it's not surprising. I'll definitely give you that. But this film across the board is in all the top tier positions, female led across the board. Director, writer, I think composer even. I think I had to get to the production designer before I found a guy.
Maria Bello.
Maria Bello is a writer as well.
Yeah, she's a writer and executive producer.
I was like, what? Maria Bello. But if you look at the director and you look at Maria Bello and then you look at Viola Davis and the three of them coming together with their ideas, and you can see that the director who did like Love and Basketball and maybe some kind of softer films, that heart is brought into this film, like especially when there's scenes between the women as they're just living their lives rather than training. As Aina had said, the hair braiding scene is fantastic.
The DP was a woman too.
Right, DP as well. I think some of my favorite scenes are with Viola Davis and I can't pronounce her name, but the girl that plays Naui in the bathing pool together, where they first meet, and she's like, "You can stay," but then the whole shark's tooth thing, which I liked a lot, even though I'm like, that poor baby might have had an infection, but you just kind of roll with it,
Well, times back then.
No, I know.
I mean, it was just like, what's an infection? Like, you just kind of move past that.
Right.
All right.
So the other big favorite scene that I had would have been the training or the test scene where they had to go through the thicket, and then she just jumps right off the 2-story. Like ridiculous stuff, but just that shows you how hard Naui had trained. But I couldn't tell how much time had passed. They didn't really nail that down for me. I think that was like a missed opportunity where you could have shown me it had been a year or enough for me to see the training take effect. That's the one thing I didn't see, but it still worked. Just fine. But
that didn't bother me because like when she walked in for the first time into the palace, like when her dad like was just like, she can't find no husband who wants her, take her off my hands, like give her to the king or whatever. When she walked in, they were just training, and so I feel like it's an everyday like not a 365 and maybe like a 363. 364.
No doubt.
Everything.
She was green when she showed up, so I just
and I feel like to me that's the passage of time links up with whenever the people come to get the slaves. So the gap between that time, I feel like that's the time that they had, because in the beginning she was like, oh, we need more warriors because of these they have like these people, and so even though they don't physically tell you, I think a few months went by because it takes people a while to get to
any travel in the 1800s took a long time, so
takes a while. So I feel like maybe 6 months, but I don't know. For me, I was just like so in it, I didn't even realize about the time, because like now that you brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, they don't tell you, like, because most films be like a little blurb in the corner, be like 3 months later, stuff like that, like to give you some time,
showing you enough of it. Like if they showed us her, the rope training, and I'm not saying I don't believe that she could do it. None of that. I totally she kicked some ass. Like I loved, and she was one of the littler people too. And watching her kick ass she was like, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna wrap it around your throat, I'm gonna toss you, and then I'm gonna.
But that's why I liked
a lot.
The way, because it was some women that were just built bigger. Like Viola Davis, when she puts muscle on her, she's a little bit bigger. She's a little heftier. And there are also women that were like thinner, taller. Women that were like a little shorter and thicker, but they had muscle. So like all those people will handle a man differently. And for her to be so small, she was like, she had to think
different
more.
Weapons too.
She had to think more of how she would take somebody down. She couldn't use a brute force or something like that. She had to be very smart. And I love that everybody kind of had their own specialties in a way, because you had the one girl, she's actually a content creator. Her name on Instagram is Samarider, and she plays the woman that always has like a bow staff. She always had the bow staff. She in real life, I believe she got into a car accident and she like destroyed her body, and she had to go through rehab, and she had to like slowly build her body back up, and then she got into karate and became one of the greatest like stunt women ever.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
And rebuilt her body, and this was like her first film ever. So like when I saw her in it, like I lost my mind. I was like, oh my god!
I wouldn't even have guessed she got in an accident.
Right?
No, like you couldn't tell. And when you see her do things on her Instagram, you can't tell that because I think the doctors even told her like, you'll never walk again. And she was just like, okay.
Yeah. Hold my bow staff.
That's not exactly.
So this film was great though. And
I like Izogi's name. I think it's a great name, and I like how she kept like, I am Izogi. Like she kept like making it a thing, and I like that they kept calling back to that.
What's the first rule of training?
Always listen to Azogi.
Always Azogi. Yeah, that's the first thing of training.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember my training. So John Boyega, he could be my king. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. He
has to have a nice woman king next to him though, because other one he had next to him.
Yeah, she was dark.
I didn't like John Boyega at like.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I didn't like him at that one part, just one part.
When he was
like,
kind of a
you're gonna
dick for a
stay.
minute.
Don't go after them. I'm like, oh, bro.
Right. Oh yeah. He's like, don't go up there. It's like,
she's like, I'm Viola Davis. I'm gonna do what I want.
She was like, okay. And then the cover.
I like how she went, and then 20 people were like, "We're going with you. What are you doing? Like, you're not going alone on this."
But I love that they all knew she wasn't not going to go. Like,
the one person that didn't realize was the king. He genuinely didn't think she would ignore him.
Yeah.
Which, dude, he's known her for how long? He should have known.
For sure.
I do like.
I love all the music too, like the stuff that they would create themselves. Like it was definitely this, like the way they would kind of like hype themselves up in a way. It was just like,
the pre-battle
that's like
dancing,
really
and
beautiful. You know, it's like you'll
Yeah.
have to like know how to sing too to be part of the Dahomey.
Right.
You know,
when did they learn all those words? At least for
it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
No, but the one right before they go and battle the Oyo, is it Oyo? I think that's right.
Oyo. Yeah.
As soon as they're like gearing up and that whole dance, like I was just like, man, I want to get up and dance. This is hyping me up. Like this is making me ready to go to battle. And I love the thought, like how they built all the freaking ant mounds full of explosives. That was brilliant.
Like,
right?
Yeah. But also, I realized with these movies, like it always takes one person to be like a little innovative, a little, you know, screw the system type of thing. Like let's do something different. And it's just ironic that it was like your own daughter bucking the system.
Right.
You didn't know. Like
so
like,
the woman king
got
was
some of
wrong
you in
through most of
No,
the film
literally.
because if she had been right and told Naui not to do all these things, she would have been dead. 2, they wouldn't have used the explosives. 3, like there's a whole list of things that Naui brings to the table that without her, they would have failed.
Needed to be brought.
But like to Lala's point though, it's because she's just her daughter, you know. So it's like, oh yeah, she's just like her, you know. She's not gonna like, she's not gonna listen 100%.
He has the same fire. Like literally, like watch it again. They literally show you that it's her child. They just don't tell you until, because like once you find out, you're like, that makes perfect sense.
You're like, oh yeah.
I walked right into that. I was like, yes, this is true.
Perfect sense. Aina just said, I love the message of even though everyone is from a different tribe, they all work together as a team. And and I love that because the line that was said by I can't remember her name, but by Nanosuke's, like, I'm assuming they're a couple. I feel like they're a couple, but they're not going to admit that, but like it's like her close confidant, like the woman that's
the
like
the real tall slender one.
Yeah, like she's more spiritual. Thank you. Yes. And she was like, you know, I got brought here from a different camp. Does that make you better than me? She was like, you go through the trials, and if you pass, then you're an Agoji, and this, you know, same goes for her. And I love that. It doesn't matter where you come from. If we're working towards this goal together, and we're working to be in this group, you're a part of this group. Simple as that. I was waiting for that girl to change. I was waiting for that girl to switch up and like murder people, but she didn't. And I was like, thank you for not. I didn't get that right. Thank you.
What did you guys think of this kind of little like mid credits scene with her that they had? Like, so like they show some of the credits, and then we get this other like little scene where there's like this little ceremony going on. Did you guys see that?
No.
Oh, you didn't stay for that? Yeah, there's like a mid credit scene.
If it doesn't say Marvel at the beginning, I generally don't stay after the credits.
No, because well, see, I always watch the credits of movies, and sometimes you're surprised at those things. But yeah, there's like a little mid credit scene.
Well, now I've got to watch it.
Moment.
That's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it, but I'm lying at the same time.
Yeah, I don't want to be put on blast that I don't watch the credits.
You know?
I watched it. Brian, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Totally.
I saw it. Yeah.
So there really is. Okay, so I stopped it when it said TriStar, which, by the way, that threw me off. I haven't seen the freaking Pegasus opening in so
like a
long,
TriStar for a while.
and it's updated.
Yeah.
Like it looks all digital and beautiful.
Well, it's like Orion's back too, you know,
Right.
and they have like a crazy updated logo now.
Oh my God, yes. When I saw the Orion logo, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I haven't
like,
seen
whoa,
this since the
they've been gone for
90s.
so long. Yeah.
It's weird
I
because
said, wait.
these companies are all still just out there. They just haven't used the names, and then depending on the style of film and
or
what
like
they
some
think
other company has
fits.
bought them and
Right.
yeah.
Right. But this, you know, to see TriStar, and it's not with Columbia, so I'm like, when did TriStar break from Columbia? Sony, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
well, no, this
Sony
is
still
Sony.
owns it though.
So this is
which
Sony,
is
but they're
weird.
not TriStar Columbia now. Now it's just TriStar and Columbia.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Which I never understand why they do that. It
It's
says
always
Sony
business
Pictures,
related,
but
right?
then it's like Columbia, a Sony Pictures company, TriStar, Sony Pictures company. It's like
It's got to
I
be
don't-
the tax reporting. It's got to be
yeah,
all of
that's
that.
like they
that's
probably
the
have
only thing I
to
can
have to
think of.
break it up
Right.
for like legal reasons, you know. But it's really like
Otherwise,
still the same
Sony would have to pay
company,
the
like-
taxes on all these films rather than
Yeah.
TriStar paying the taxes
Yeah.
on that film or whatever. That's
Right.
my best guess as to why there's so many different like
Probably,
sub
yeah.
studios, or
Yeah.
it is like groups of people that have gotten together with smaller companies that do have to band together in order to have enough money to make it happen. So there's kind of the two. My guess.
Aina said she loves the tribute to Breonna Taylor. I didn't. Was there?
Was
That's
there?
that's at the
too.
no, that's at the end, right? That's at the end where that's the mid. I think that's the mid credit scene. I literally
Yeah,
just
curious what
I
that
literally
was,
just watched it
because it is because it is like a like honoring
like honoring the people that passed
That's
away.
nice.
So I think she says Brianna, and she
yeah.
says
She has this
she
like
pours
liquid
out
that she
Izogi.
pours out these little spots of.
That's it. I think that's Azogi's whiskey actually that she pours because it's in her flask.
Yeah.
And so she says Izogi, and she says all the women's names that died in battle, and I believe they do say Brianna's name in there. So
That's nice.
Now I have to
It's
watch
very
it because
beautiful.
I'm like I'm
Yeah, that's really nice. This is like a
yeah, it's very beautiful. It shows you what they do. Not only do they do like the ritual where they cover them up and they put the thing on the.
yeah.
She also did one for like fallen warriors and stuff like that. So I think that was at towards the end.
Yep.
It's nice, and it's such a calm scene too. I remember I did watch that. I did watch that in the theaters. I just didn't remember.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just like
Oh.
one camera. That's it. It doesn't like.
Chills.
I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that. See, I missed it. Oh, damn it. Whatever. I watched it now. You guys got to watch my reaction.
Listen, we all gotta watch towards the end of stuff now. You got to deal
Just
with
with
it.
everything, you never know, because even
Just
a
with everything,
serious
you gotta
drama
deal with it.
piece might, actually have an
Have
end
an
credit
end.
scene.
Sometimes,
Like,
sometimes
okay.
they.
Marvel did it.
Yeah, well, sometimes there's like a cool like sound at the end of some of these too. Like they'll, there'll be like a cool like.
You mean like at the end
line of dialogue
of,
or something, and-
episode 1 when they just had the Darth Vader breathing, right?
Some
Where
Darth
you're
Vader
"Ooh,
breathing. Yeah,
he's on his
That was
way.
pretty-
It's subtle, or like the hammer with
yeah,
Iron Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
mhm.
I like
Forgot about
those.
stuff.
But
Yeah.
you're not always on a Sunday afternoon going, I'm going to watch these credits.
Yeah,
Just not it.
True.
Although
but now
I
you should.
some of us don't respect all the people that worked on the film.
I was literally about to say. So
Just
one of the
kidding.
film classes that I took, the instructor was like, the credits are important not only for that, for actually like recognizing who made the film, but there's also songs picked within the credits for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. And so those
Yeah,
songs
yeah.
are supposed to evoke some emotion based upon what you just saw, and you're supposed to spend that 5 minutes reflecting, or talking
Yeah.
to your friend or wife or whatever sitting next to you. And he always
Yeah.
referred to it as like the cigarette after sex, right? So like when you're done, you need to take a
Yeah.
breath. Nobody smokes after sex
Yeah.
anymore, but
Mhm.
But that's
concept
how I
is the same.
felt. That's how I felt on The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. I was waiting for the Ed Sheeran song "Icy Fire." They did not play it. They did not play the entire movie, and I was like, well, "What's the point
but yeah.
of this song?"
That's what
being
they
the
do.
song? Where is it? And
Like,
they
you promoted in the trailer. Why is this? Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Some of
so
the
I
best
had to
songs in
sit there
movies
the
are in the
entire
credits,
time
though. Like
so
I've
I
seen.
can hear
Yeah.
that song because I've been wanting to hear that song since the movie.
I thought Ed Sheeran was gonna make a cameo, like he did in
Yeah.
Just see some red hair in the distance or something like that. Just walk across
Yeah.
the screen and I see.
So that's the one Lord of the Rings movie I've never seen. Is the third Hobbit movie.
It's what Battle
Oh,
of the
same. Yeah.
I've seen all the other.
Bat-
I've even seen the extended editions, but never that
Battle
one.
of the Five Armies.
Yeah, Battle of the Five
Saw
Armies. I've never seen
Schmaug.
that.
I love Schmaug.
I saw Schmaug. I actually,
Shout out to
I'm one of those
Benedict
people
Cumberbatch.
that pisses people off because I'm like, I like the Hobbit movies over Lord of the Rings, and people hate me for that, but that's fine. I'm okay with it.
Oh man.
I don't hate you.
I like one set better than the other one for other reasons, and I like the other set better than the other one for other reasons. They both have legitimate things in them that to me did better, other ways. But I enjoy them all because I own them all.
You guys know what
Right.
like a white noise machine is, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's Lord of the Rings for me.
Are you?
Mhm.
Are you okay?
Don't watch the credits of movies. And Lord of the Rings is white noise to you.
No, I'll put on Lord of the Rings if I really can't
Oh my
sleep.
God.
I bet you guys missed me.
Oh, I
I
see.
had to deal with this guy then.
Man.
I am not unsubscribed. Wow, I've just
this guy. I got
the
a
whole
point.
internet is
Yeah,
mad at
there you
Mr.
go.
Snidbits now. Here, let me put a little extra on this to flip it around a little. One of my favorite group of fans are Lord of the Rings fans because they're actually polite and not evil to each other. Well, maybe a little bit more in the last year because of the show coming out, but they've always been kind of just chill. And like when I tell them they don't like it, they're like, "Oh, well, that sucks," and they leave it at that. They don't get mad. They don't go, "You suck. You should die," or whatever you get told.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what they do when they get home. Like,
well, if they're hating me on their own
They
time,
got a
then I'm
little.
rent
They
free,
got like
and
a
that's
little
fine. You know.
Snidbits voodoo down.
I always wondered why I kept getting sharp pain over here. It's the Lord of the Rings fans, right? Just stabbing me in the gut.
Yeah, right there in the side, man.
You know,
All right,
I don't know. I'm just not a fantasy person. Yes, we can definitely
That's
rate
fine.
this
Should
film
we vote?
and
And then
move
we'll
on to
vote.
what.
Rate?
can I just say one more thing about the Woman
Of
King
course,
that I
we can-
really
we can
No,
keep talking
we're
about
about
brought
to
it
give
up.
our ratings.
No, go ahead, Tyler.
I loved how they handle trauma amongst everybody. Like they're not, because usually people are playing trauma Olympics, right? Like actually,
Yeah.
my father was killed.
Exactly.
Like, but this movie was so good about like
trivializing
hey,
other people's trauma. Like
just so bad. But this movie was like, hey, I had some shit too, but we're family now, so we're all gonna look out for each other. Like I love that message.
It's just it's the scene between Izogi and Nawi when she was just like, nobody, like, she was trying to like get that sympathy, and she was like, yo, when I was 14, my mama tried to sell me for sex,
man,
and I got beat. My mama beat me. The people beat me, and then I burned the dude with an ember. So like we all been through something, but we family, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
Remove that chip from your shoulder and let's get it done. Like I just loved it because it was just like we all.
Like,
nobody in this camp has lived a great life.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I just love that. Yeah.
Even
point,
though
Ty.
a lot of the tones and a lot of the, obviously we're talking about slavery, and a lot of very negative, tones and themes. The movie still had this really kind of uplifting bit at the end. Like I really like how we left on a high note, and it was a positive story. I watching the previews and seeing the poster, I was like, oh God, this is not going to go well. But I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't just depressed at the end of the film. Because most movies that even deal with slavery,
you could have easily been.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just loved that it was like it was dealing with slavery and it wasn't a slavery film. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna like mention that, like, because I've heard other like Black creators talk about like, man, can we not like recycle like Black trauma for?
I would appreciate it.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, oh yeah, that's something that like I started paying attention to now with certain movies that like with Emancipation, the Will Smith movie. I didn't see it.
No, gracias.
But I mean, it's just like a straight up.
Some good things about it.
Right.
He's trying to mask it as though it's not a slavery movie. It's a survivor film. And honestly, I believe it. It probably is a survivor because this man did survive. He did go on and like life. He did survive. But I was like, it took him a minute. What he had to go through to get there is slavery. Exactly. And I don't want to see it.
Yeah. So it was great to see this, like, just like you said, they touch on it, but that's not what the film is.
Yeah, that's not the film.
I love the very end too, like you see Viola Davis, she's so hard and just like stoic and just like, you know what I mean? And then we finally see at the end, like she has some color on her. She's wearing this great purple.
She let her hair down.
Like, thing. I know, and she's moving and smiling.
Yeah,
and dancing and like
she got called mom. Everyone. She got called mother.
Yeah, it was really
Because think about it, she's been a mom to all these women, even though they don't physically call her mom. And now she's actually a mom to the baby that she had to give up. That if you look at it, she didn't really want to give up, but she was just like, I can't look at this kid and what happened to me. And
what would the Agoji done with her as well? I think they would have booted her out for having a kid because that means she had sex, whether that was her fault or not. That's the way they looked at it. At least that's what I kind of pulled from her talking about it.
Yeah, but that's why it's like nobody knows, and that's why they acknowledge each other in private. like they acknowledge like mother daughter in private, because like I don't even think they could tell people that they're related in that, and she could stay in that tribe. I don't think she could. They didn't get into that, but just the way that it's played, I don't think that will be frowned upon. I think it would look kind of bad.
It would.
But also I could just tell throughout the movie, like I was like, she tired. Like she's a beast. Like she's a beast. But she's tired.
She's tired, yeah.
She's tired. So to make her woman king, where she can just have somebody else become like the general, but she can still lead them in a way. I was like, that's a perfect ending for her in this like story.
Well, the Woman King title is also one of those things that shows me that all the white people get all pissed off about this movie didn't watch the movie, because they don't understand what the title even means. They just assume, oh, how can a woman be a king or some stupid shit like that?
No, literally.
But if you watch the movie, it explains exactly how she gets this title and why it means what it does. So, not a hard one. Just watch the movie. That's all you guys got to do.
I know.
I think at this point, all of the films that basically are highlighting slavery in that sense are basically just for like a gateway for white people that don't understand. Please, white people, watch those movies because you need to understand. But we don't need to be regurgitating that shit over and over again, because there's plenty of films about it, right?
2023, white people, y'all understand, and if you say you just don't want to understand.
No,
it's 2023.
For 400 years,
but it's still it's a way for a white person to at least try to empathize, at least to some degree. I know there are white guilt films,
for those that want to.
Right, I agree.
For those that want to.
But that's film in
because,
general. You watch the movies you want to watch.
Yeah, people get on my nerves. I don't see color. You don't.
Weird. That's weird.
Okay. Well, then that's a problem.
Okay. Yeah. How do you pick your clothes in the morning? I don't understand.
Right. That's a great point.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about not seeing it. It's about understanding and respecting. And
listen, I think I speak for the entire Black community when I say all we want you to do is understand. We're not asking for you to bleed your kids dry. We're not asking for you to kill people in the name of
asking for special rights.
We're not asking for all this. Just understand and do better. That's all we're asking. It's so simple.
It's really just like I've said before. It's just like shut up and listen is really all it is.
No, yeah.
So,
whenever I do have a conversation, they'll be like, "Well, don't stop. Don't say well. Don't do that.
Actually,
no." Or they'll try to like, if I'm telling you about my trauma, they'll try to like, in it and be like, "What did you think from this person's standpoint?" You have a good day.
Yeah.
Well, we've had so many of that person's standpoint. We don't need it anymore.
We don't need it. What about my standpoint?
Right.
What about mine?
Right.
Agreed.
What about my standpoint? But yeah.
100%. Let's rate this film.
All right, we done with politics. Let's get this.
Tyler, we started with you. We're gonna go back to you again. What do you think of The Woman King?
I'm gonna give it. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm gonna. All right, I'm not gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do it na way. Na way. I'm not gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because that movie. It was a lot better the second time. I mean, it was good the first time, but now that I was paying attention, it was.
That was basic. When I actually watched the movie, I liked it. That's how that goes.
10 o'clock movie is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Not always. Yeah. Depends on how hyped up you are. How about you, Lala?
I will give this film a 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
I give this film a 9.5. It's for me, it's damn near close to perfect. I think it's shot beautifully. I think it's written beautifully. I think the actors are all top tier, whether you don't know who they are or not. I feel like they all were on the same level. And it's hard sometimes to be on the same level as Viola Davis. That's all I'm saying. So if you can do that, you are top notch in my eyes. And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. So 9.5.
I like it. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm gonna do 9.5 grapefruits for this one. Also,
don't bring the grapefruits.
Yeah.
So does the banana make it a 10?
All the movies are gonna be grapefruit rated, by the way. So just let you know.
I love it.
The banana makes it a 10.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's like one of my favorites of last year, and she's got the Academy Award in my personal Academy Awards. So
no facts, but she's an EGOT winner, so she wins.
Yeah,
regardless.
she's got it. I know.
Shout out to Viola Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For myself, I'm going to give this a 10. I think this is up there with all of the major epics. So I put this up there with Braveheart. I put this up there with Dances with Wolves. Like, as far as epics in my life,
Come on, Dances with Last of the Mohicans.
I absolutely love this movie, and I will be watching this movie again. I'm going to probably sit my wife down to make sure she gets to watch it. I really enjoyed it, and I will not hesitate to watch it again. So,
did you purchase it or did you rent it?
I just watched it on Netflix because it's actually on Netflix this week. So,
okay.
But I'm assuming it'll have some great behind the scenes stuff, so I'll probably buy it.
I would say it's a good purchase because they have like all the fight and stunt choreography. They have I think they have like a gag reel and stuff like that. Like I own it, so like it's a good watch with all the behind the scenes stuff. So I recommend the purchase.
You got it. I will
I'd buy
definitely
just for the gag reel.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird with movies like this that have a gag reel. You're like,
I know, like,
all right.
I mean, you know, you gotta have fun with it, you know, or else you're just gonna like drive yourself crazy. So
agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the final movie of the evening, and that is, of course, the always anticipated MCU film. This time, it is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This is, of course, the latest addition to the Marvel universe, and it's, I think, the 29th film, 30th film. I can't even keep track anymore. If you guys know, awesome, but I don't remember. This, of course, stars Angela Bassett. It also stars, I'm going to totally screw this up because I'm no good with names.
Letitia Wright.
Thank you. Letitia Wright, who is the lead in this film. And, well, basically the entire cast, other than Chadwick Boseman, has returned for this film.
I would just say the entire cast has returned. Also, the newcomers are Dominique Thorne as Ironheart.
Thank you.
Michaela Cole plays the character. Mabel Cadena plays Namora. I believe his name is pronounced Tanak Huerta is actually Namor. And then we have, I forget his name, but he plays the dude that I love that beat up Okoye because I love him. he was great.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name though. And then we got, you know, and for anybody, I'm sorry, I apologize for spoilers. This is a
Liminali. I think it's the guy's name.
This is a spoiler show, and shout out to Michael B. Jordan. That's all I'll say for covering.
Right.
So
I liked that because I didn't see that coming, and I thought that was a great little kind of twist. But this is, of course, film directed by Ryan Coogler. We actually did another Ryan Coogler film last week, so it's been a couple of weeks of Coogler on the show. But I would expect that if Ryan Coogler directed something, that he would say, "Hey, Michael, you want to come show up on my set?" Because you know, kind of set his career on the path. And if you haven't gotten a chance, to watch the movies from last week, I still want to hear your thoughts on those, even if it's just like in DMs and just what you think of the films we watched. So,
I'm sorry, repeat that.
I said, if you haven't watched the films from last week, I would love to even just privately hear what you think of them and your thoughts. So
I got you. Actually, I was planning on because I didn't get to watch the films. Some of the films I've seen, but some of them I did get to see, and I was like, oh shit, I wanted to see that. Like I was all excited. I was like, oh man. and so I said I was going to watch them and then record like maybe like a couple of minutes and put it on the Real Studies TikTok, just to be like, this is what I missed. Thing. So
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We did miss you. That said, all of these movies weirdly on IMDb have gotten a 6 point something rating. None of them have gotten above a 7, which is odd to me, at least for the last 2 movies.
IMDb is like the last place I go to for like ratings because it's just so easy to
troll,
to bomb it.
to troll,
you know, and review bomb them. So
if I'm looking at this though, it doesn't look like there's many 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, so it doesn't look like it got wildly review bombed. Maybe a bit, but every movie that doesn't just star a white guy gets review bombed. So
these days,
yeah. So
I don't even look at reviews. I just be like, I
no,
want to see it. All right, I'm gonna go see it. Because reviews do nothing. I've read reviews and they were like, "This is trash," and then I would go see it and be like,
"Yeah, like, did you watch the same movie?" Like, yeah.
I guess you do see color.
Lala, Wakanda
Yes.
Forever. This was your pick. You asked us to make sure that you were here for this one.
I was I got a little aggressive, and I was like,
I liked
I'm gonna
it.
need
I
y'all to
liked
chill
it.
out.
We were going to watch
Y'all
this
can't do
movie at
this
the
without
beginning of
me.
the month without her, and she was like,
Nope.
"Don't you dare!" I
No,
will
you
have
can't do
problems with that.
that.
So we
Can't do
postponed it
that.
for the returning episode.
Yes.
So what did you think of Wakanda Forever? Why did you make us wait? Go for it.
Yeah. All right. So I made y'all wait because this is an all black, all female led film. I am the only black female on this panel, and I felt like my perspective was needed in this. Because to me, this isn't a normal MCU film. This is it's under the MCU umbrella, but I just feel like this is a different film than in like an MCU film, and I felt like I needed to be here for it. But I love this film. There was a lot of controversy about hashtag recast T'Challa. Essentially everybody got what they wanted, maybe not the way they wanted it, but I feel like everybody got what they wanted in this film, which is very difficult to do when you have to pivot off of a lead actor's passing. I thought this film was amazing. I thought they handled Chadwick's passing amazingly. The first 10 minutes of this film, just tears, just bawling. The acting from everybody in the beginning was great. The silent Marvel comics when it's all Chadwick, it's purple, and there's no music. I'm just like, man, to me, this was a love letter to not only Chadwick, but to the fans that did not get to grieve him, like his family and friends got to grieve him. And I think they gave us a film to grieve him by, but also gave us a beautiful story of how to move past your grief for something bigger than yourself. And it's essentially what Shuri had to do double time because, you know, mama died too. So that's messy. Yeah. But I thought this film was amazing. I thought it was beautifully done. I obviously none of the actors were acting in this film. Only when it came to like, you know, like the coming to like the telecons, like the fantastical stuff. But when it came to like the more heartfelt stuff, you could tell that they weren't acting. You could tell that it was just like real tears. It was real hurt. It was real pain. And I just thought this film was like greatly done because like there's nothing watching this film for me personally, there's nothing they could have done more in this film. Because like I said, it's hard to pivot from when your lead dies and you have to revamp the whole film, even though his son was supposed to be in the movie and originally in the movie. But I think they were going to do like a father-son thing instead of a mother-daughter thing like they did in this one. But I still think it's amazing. I think I've watched it a gajillion times and I've watched it a gajillion people react to it. So I've watched it even more than that. And I think for me, it just hits across the board. Beautiful film.
All right. I want to go to Brian. What did you think of Wakanda Forever? Okay. It's got the steelbook right there.
He purchased it. I think he liked it, guys.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, that's just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. More on there. Yeah, it's like, I loved it. Yeah, like Lala, I'm glad you mentioned, like, it's hard to go into this film not thinking about what an undertaking it must have been to like make this massive pivot, because essentially from what I understand the script was already written, done, and with the idea that Chadwick was going to be in it, and it's like, how do you do this, and and it was great you mentioned the opening too of the Marvel logo and everything, because that really sets the tone. Because like for me, when that like logo hits, I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm ready, and I'm like singing along with it. Where this one was like, it immediately puts you in that headspace of like, oh, this is different, like right out of the gate. And yeah, beautiful film, beautiful looking film. It's a woman DP. She shot Loki, which I love the look of Loki.
Oh, Loki was beautiful.
Yeah.
Story
and she's Filipino and it's so great.
Yeah,
I love her.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And she had an undertaking. I mean, because I feel like this was like bigger than Loki, you know what I mean? So but she did some awesome stuff in that series as well. But yeah, it was great to see, just like you said, like to see something like, because the like Black Panther, the mantle of Black Panther is bigger than T'Challa, like and it's like, how do you do that? How do you move on? And because it's like it's a huge thing, because you like have to go through this grief, but also knowing that you somehow have to, like, the Black Panther has to continue going forward, you know. And
Yeah.
I love the idea of these two warring, like, you know, worlds,
Nations.
you know, and cultures, and like, yeah. And it was
Yeah.
really, it was great to see a lot of that. I thought, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but the actor that plays Noir did a great job. I love the, like, how they fit the whole idea of, like, was it Mayan culture? Is that right? Or was it
It's Mayan culture. Yeah, they pull from
the-
Mayan culture.
yeah, and how they worked that in. And like his name too, like that was really great.
Listen, the way I've been saying it is ugly compared to how they pronounced it in this film. I said I will never call him Namor ever again in my life. Namor? Come on now. That's beautiful. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
That's great.
And just like, and Angela Bassett.
Oh
man, I know. One, she's like ageless. And man, her arms. I'm sorry, I could not like
her back. Her
arms are like looking great in this movie. I'm sorry, but like,
I mean, she been like that since what's love got to do with it.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh man, yeah.
I love it.
I mean, but yeah, she's. I mean, I'm so glad she's got nominated.
She's gonna get that Oscar though.
Man.
I tell you that right now. If they don't get her that Oscar, I'm rioting.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see a Marvel film win an Oscar. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
I just want to see her win an Oscar. She's been snubbed so much in her career. I feel.
Oh yeah.
She needs to win an Oscar. She is 60 years old, or it's like 62 or something like that. Need her to get an Oscar.
Like, yeah.
Agreed.
Man, someone said in a review for for Quantum Mania, talking about how they would just like ruin it all to be with Michelle Pfeiffer. I'd probably do the same for
all right.
I watched a review. I watched a reaction where a guy pretty much said the exact same. They were reviewing this film, and when she came across screen, he was just like, "Man, like, can you believe this woman is 60?" He was like, he lost his mind for a second.
It's so funny.
He was like by himself.
She's incredible.
Just sitting there like,
yeah.
The fate of the universe is at stake. I gotta contemplate this one a little bit.
Honestly, I gotta contemplate it. I'm like,
So how about you, Tyler? What do you think of Wakanda Forever?
The first time, because we had watched it at the TCL, the Chinese theater, and man, it was hype. It was crazy when we went to watch it.
Wow.
But it was great. I mean, it wasn't great, but everyone collectively, like, the beginning Marvel logo, everyone's like, you just hear everyone like,
and that's all you hear. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, it was. Yeah, that whole beginning sequence, and I realized, like, we can talk about it too, but like it's like a through line that happens throughout the film with the music. The absence of music happens whenever there's something like really like, when Okoye loses the princess, Letitia Wright's character, and then
oh yeah, damn.
Just whenever something like terrible is about to happen, like there's just no music. Like it could be a fight scene, no music, and I was like, okay, this is really good. The look of the film is amazing. Yeah, I just remember walking out of the theater, and some people were immediately like, "Oh, I didn't like what they did with this. I didn't like that they, they made these two, like marginalized communities, like
fight each other,
And I was like, but like more or less, like that's real, like that still is a thing, like that happens,
They kind of flipped that trope though, because these are the two most powerful nations on Earth.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like can I just I just want to interject just a little bit for that, because I thought about that and I was just like, stop talking, people, because like I get it from a standpoint. You're like, okay, these two like minority communities fighting each other, but also there's no other community that's strong enough to fight Wakanda. There's no other community but another minority community. You know what I mean?
With
and
that
then, let's be honest. With that resource, and let's be honest, the only reason they was fighting was because colonizers.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was that point. Like,
wasn't supposed to go. So it's just go ahead, Ty. Continue, Ty.
No. That's exactly like, because that's what I felt walking out. I was like, did I miss something? If I feel like I thought it was fine for the most part. I can't speak in certain spaces, but I didn't like when I walked out. I was like, I mean, I didn't see another way, maybe narratively that it made sense that the way they went about it. Plus, on top of like what you guys were saying, like I think the original script, Ryan Coogler had said that it was already going to be about like Chadwick, dealing with being absent after the blip, and like him dealing with grief. So like, and for them to have like pivoted like that and still come out with this like super amazing movie that's like a feat on its own. And when I walked out, I was like, I'm not gonna hate on it like immediately like this. Like, it makes no sense for me.
Yeah,
that's all fair. I felt a lot of the same sadness. I kept feeling like something was missing, and I still can't tell whether I feel like something from the film was missing or if I just felt Chadwick's just not being there, and I just felt that way the whole time. But I definitely felt like the whole film, I was like, something. I don't know what it is, but there's a piece missing from this puzzle. I think they did a good job with just going straight into it, because how do you film a scene with a character that doesn't exist anymore and actually make sense of it? So the hurried, her trying to save him at the beginning, I kind of understand it. There's only so many ways you can take this script with an actor passing. So it's tricky, but I do think that it is still the scope of a Marvel movie. It is huge. It is fun. It is colorful. It has all the fun tropes. M'Baku is one of my favorite parts of the whole film, because he kind of brings that little levity. And for one moment I thought,
demon.
Right,
yeah, that's my part.
You think at one moment he might be dead, because he gets punched by Noir, and you're like, oh shit. But for me, he kind of always steals the show. Winston Duke is amazing. Angela Bassett is phenomenal. The tears coming out of her eyes when it's the scene with her and Okoye. That whole scene just destroys.
Denai was amazing in this.
Yeah, Denai's tears were just authentic, and
she was amazing.
Yeah, watching her get kind of defrocked in a sense. I know that's not the right term, but essentially. Really felt. I mean, there's a bit of a religiousness to the Dormalage. I really, watching her be just a citizen was hard for me. I really actually struggled with those scenes, because I was like, no, you're such a badass. Quit just being at the market. I need you back in the game. And when she got to get back in the game, I loved it, because giving her a suit is like.
Yeah.
What there's nobody else badder than her, in my opinion, on that field. She became.
But I felt like she needed to leave again. Like
she did. I know the arc is important. I totally agree.
The character growth for everybody was just like spot on to me. It's like what you needed for like another chapter of like Wakanda. Like everybody needed to grow, right? Everybody felt stagnant from where they were. Like everybody was in the same position. Well, except for Queen Mother, because she couldn't be stagnant. But like everybody felt stagnant, and this felt like it elevated everybody up. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So ultimately, I do think this is a fun film. I don't think it's my favorite, Marvel movie to date, but definitely, even just watching. I'm going to say the name of the place wrong, but Talokan, is that what the name of the city? Talokan. Is gorgeous, and they did, I think, a much better job of an underwater Atlantis style thing than Aquaman even could dare to touch.
Yeah.
It's more believable.
But I also love that they changed the name.
Right.
I love that they changed the name, because essentially it is Atlantis. They call it Atlantis in comic.
Right.
So the fact that I was like, thank you. I was like, please don't call it that.
Kind of had to, right?
I was like, thank you for changing. I was like, oh, thank you for changing that.
For sure. And I do like that Namor is the bad guy, because in the original comic books, his first appearances were as a real piece of crap.
Oh yeah.
So that the fact that they kept
he's arrogant. He's like, yeah.
I like.
He's everything. He's all of that in this film. But I will say this though, even though he's lived for like what 500 years,
something like that. At least
something
since
like
the beginning of the slave trade, it seemed.
Yeah. So like maybe like 500 years, something like that. 500 plus. He's a child.
Right.
He's a child. He's her child, which is why him and Shuri could like bond on that level, because essentially she's a child because she got blipped, and so and so he was very much moving. He moves from a child's place, but a child's place that's been doted on his entire life. So he's like a privileged kid that nobody says no to, because when he shows up, he just demands.
Well, and he can.
Like,
he can
bro, you ain't
never.
but you ain't never been here before. Also, let's have a conversation. Like that's the thing, right? None of this would have happened if he knew how to delegate, if he knew politics. Because if
he
you
had
would
never
have
done politics because they didn't need to.
but
Right.
exactly, because he does everything brute force. Which one? I like that because Wakanda is a nation that talks. Wakanda is a nation that like they would rather not go to war. They would rather not fight. They would rather have a conversation. Because if they wanted to, they can just wipe out places. They can go and take over the United States. They can go do whatever.
Vibranium could be turned into some pretty crazy bombs if you wanted to. Like you could get wild.
No, like literally, which I'm hoping they get more innovative in the third one. But like they stepped up the game. But like he's like every time I watch this film, I was just like, he's a child. Like he is a child on like a power trip.
Yeah.
That this is all he knows how to do. He's like, either I'm gonna kill you or you can do what I'm saying. Like I don't know what else you want me to.
Yeah, because if you think about his experience with
Exactly.
the conquistadors and like people that took over, that's all he really knows. So he's just like,
that's his initial reaction.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like experience that again. So I'm just gonna like go in.
All from a place of hurt. They both move from places of hurt. But I also like that Tanak's character smirks a lot when he says bad stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like, talking about, it was people over our land, I took care of them. Right. I made sure they stopped. Like it was like a little, he always had like this weird, like it's not weird, but like it's funny, like just a little smirk in the corner of his mouth that I'm just like,
why did you say that sexy? Like, you just
I know.
like,
how dare you? Like kill me, please. Like,
can we talk about the wings on the feet?
The ankles?
Yeah. And again, I know Namor in the comic books, that's the thing. I thought it was odd with almost every other MCU character, they kind of tweak it. But with this one, they're like, let's just do it. Put him right on the screen as is.
I think because they tweaked enough from him, because he's not Mayan, he's, what I'm saying, stuff like that. Right. I think that they were like, we gonna be authentic.
Yeah. And they even kept like that line. He says, there was like this like famous Namor thing that he says that he even said in the movie. Yeah. But yeah, I think like what Lala's saying, I think too. Yeah, they're like, we've changed this character
dramatically.
Pretty good.
Pretty enough. So they were just like, let's
gotta keep these.
I think that's a defining part of his character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It'd be different, like changing his outfit. It'd be like, oh, it's more conducive to what we're doing. But like the wings on the ankle, that's how he flies. That's how he does things. And
I struggled with that part the most.
Is that Hermes from mythology? With the
Mercury and Hermes.
Hermes?
I think
okay.
Depending on whether it's the Greek or the Roman flip.
The Roman. Yep, there it is. Thank you.
Okay.
So did you guys catch the stuff that was on TV?
Well, that's part of his mutation, right?
It is.
Yeah, it is part. And the ears.
Yeah. Stuff on TV.
He said mutant. He did
say I'm a mutant. But did he mean mutant, or is he just using it colloquially to say I'm a mutant?
Nope. I think he meant mutant. And to me, they purposely call him a mutant, which means technically in this MCU he might be the first mutant.
No, he would be, because he's technically it was from his birth. Although mutants in the comic books, it's puberty that sets it off, not just from birth.
Yeah.
Oh, and what did they call it in Miss Marvel, the Miss Marvel show? Because I think that was the first like mention.
That's the first. Yeah, that's the first time we heard.
They were like, "Oh, the X-Men."
Yeah, everybody like, yeah. Because he was just like, so she was like, "Are you saying I'm a mutant?" I think she says the word mutant in Miss Marvel. Yeah, so we're getting a lead up to X-Men, but so there were 2 times that Anderson Cooper was talking on CNN. And there was like taglines at the bottom. Did you guys read those?
No.
All right. Would you like to know what they said?
Of course.
They do a good job of like they attention to details pretty.
Yeah, they do. So the first one, when the Queen is returning from the UN, it says when he talks about her, they break into the facility, all that kind of stuff. It says that Scott Lang continues tour to support in support of autobiography. Look out for the little guy. Mm-hmm. So he has an autobiography, and part of me wants to know, does that tie into Ant-Man? Like,
well, he has his podcast as well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He has in Quantumania he has his book.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet, so I was just like curious.
You can pre-order. You can
Yeah.
pre-order it. Yeah.
What?
Hey.
Oh, it's a real book.
It's a real book.
I'm
Did
here
Paul
for
Rudd
it.
help
I'm here
write
for
the
it.
book, or
I feel like he should have if he
Oh my
did.
god.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I
comes out in
agree.
September.
That's great.
And then after the
Yeah.
Queen dies, and they're in Ross's house, you know, with Valentina, and she pops up and she cuts on the TV. I don't know the president's name in this world. It's like, is it like President Alston or something like that? Sign a trade pact with New Asgard to create a virtually beneficial partnership. So we'll see how that ties into the rest of the MCU. But I thought that was interesting that they put that stuff at the bottom of the screen.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's there for a reason.
Yeah.
The Marvels poster, you guys checked that out, I assume?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Looks
That's
good.
awesome.
Can't wait for
Beautiful.
that.
I can't wait because I want to see why she mad at Auntie Carol. I'm very curious. I just want the drama. The drama. Yeah.
More on Wakanda Forever?
I will just say the reason why I love this film so much is because it's literally the first movie just done a little bit better. There are a lot of things in this film that mimic the first movie. Like a lot, which I'm making videos about it because I think it's great. I just think it's great, the parallels and things like that. Especially when people want to complain about like T'Challa and Shuri and like, how can Shuri fight? She's a princess in a nation full of fighters. Why wouldn't she know how to fight? But also, we never
like. Do we not see the first film? I don't. And
Come
then
on,
like
preach.
Infinity, like what?
Come on, preach. And then she also brings back those same gauntlets, right?
Yeah, like.
And then on top of that too, the herb gives her like super strength and agility. So like pretty much whatever comes to
this
whatever comes to her mind,
right?
Right.
Could be a little different, a little stronger, maybe. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, it is a little stronger because I think their vibranium is more refined. If Griot said it correctly, that their vibranium is a little bit more refined than theirs is. Like
so Wakanda's got the more refined vibranium.
No, Talokan has the more refined vibranium.
That's why he's ridiculously powerful.
And that's why, because they ingested it, that their bodies are like denser. So even getting stabbed, they don't die. And like, I think you have to like blow them up or something. You know what I'm saying? You have to like, it has to be an extreme death for them to die because their skin is denser. Because Okoye was going in, click, 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 and they all just got up.
Or you just have to break their heart.
Yeah, just
or you have to break their heart. Yeah.
I liked that they showed that they have really advanced tech without ever showing it. So like he walks up on Okoye and translates, right? Or not Okoye, but up on Shuri and hits something and starts to translate. And I'm like, where's that coming from? Like, you've got tech on you we can't even see. Looks like necklaces or whatever. I thought that was brilliant.
Well, that was Griot too. Griot, that was Shuri who translated.
It wasn't
for her. Like
I thought
that was Shuri.
I just watched
that was Shuri.
I thought it was the.
I think that was Shuri who did that because her Okoye, because her beads are there as well, and I think she did that. But I'll have to watch it again though. I think she did that because it sounded like Trevor Noah's Griot that was talking to her.
Is that Trevor Noah?
That's Trevor Noah.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. That's what he's doing now that he's not on the Daily Show. Okay.
Yeah, he just being in a Marvel movie, just voice.
Yeah, certain places.
I wouldn't mind having him as my AI in my ear, just talking to me. Also, a good. I don't know if this is an Easter egg, but for me, it's an Easter egg. During the scene when we go into Riri's workspace, and Griot was like, "Princess, there's law enforcement outside." Riri was like, "Who was that?" And we all know that Ironheart puts an AI in her system, and it's Tony Stark. So I think this was like her. And she has like slight Stark tech on her wall. So I think it's like the bridge of her figuring out that she could put AI in her suit. I feel like that was like a little Easter egg.
Part,
so like maybe we'll see that in Ironheart. Like,
that part bothered me. I get why they always take superhero shit away from them. I understand they have to earn it back, all that. But I kind of get tired of that trope because that suit is made. Why can't they just let her have it? It's
vibranium.
Brilliant. I understand that, but they let. Hey, Falcon's running around with the freaking vibranium shield that's not, originally his either. They're not the only one out there with something. I just thought
that vibranium, but I feel like
the first edition, but
the shield's a little different. The shield's a little different because they don't tell you the shield isn't like 100% vibranium.
But it's still colonizer vibranium because they stole it. They stole it and made it into a shield.
No.
So
that's facts. That's facts. But they couldn't let a college girl leave with a full Iron Man vibranium suit.
Right.
Yeah.
You could come back and use it if you want to, but you know,
And
what I'm
I
saying?
know it's because they want her to build her
timeshare
own.
with it.
They want her to take to Mark II of her own version instead of the open suit. We're gonna get the closed, you know, because that one didn't quite.
It's like the end of
we expected, but
the end of Homecoming, right? He didn't get the Iron. Spider-Man didn't get his thing.
Yeah.
They had to come back next time.
And I get it. Again, it's a very common comic book trope. You've got to have the hero be downtrodden in order to make their way up. I get it. But I kind of go, this is why I hate origin stories, because I'm like, man, is there another way to tell origin stories? Because they
honestly, Spider-Man's origin story is pretty silent in the MCU, in my standpoint, because it starts off with him being very privileged to work with Tony Stark, get all this stuff, everything gets ripped from him.
Sure.
And he has to start from scratch. And to me, his origin story began in No Way Home. And I think that was just
right.
I agree with you because they flipped the script in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, in that sense, I did like No Way Home, and it's kind of the best origin story because he origined way after already doing all of it. So it is
he origined out. He origined out.
But it still wasn't. I don't know. So
yeah,
you could make the argument about this technically being Shuri's origin story, obviously, because she becomes Black Panther, but we already know that she doesn't even need, to some degree, the Black Panther suit because her tech takes care of most of this stuff. So she's kind of she's gonna the next Black Panther suit is gonna be ridiculous. I think she'll be able to do some crazy stuff.
But also, I was explaining to some people too that I don't think people realize how savage Shuri is in the comics. She's way more savage than T'Challa. Like she's way she'll kill you. Yeah. Like, so the fact that when she went to the other she went to the realm of the ancestors, the fact that she saw the T'Chaka is because she's very much like him. She very much has that rage in her. And even though she got Namor to yield, I don't think we're done seeing the end of like angry Shuri or like more of a aggressive Shuri. I think it'll be a little died down, but I don't
next transition.
I don't think we're done seeing that. Because in the comics, man, she's smart and strategic like T'Challa, but she's brutal like Killmonger. So I'm excited to see what they have in store for her.
I thought they were gonna bring Angela Bassett. Like I thought she was gonna appear, but then Killmonger came out and I was like, no. Yes, makes sense.
They did a good job with the throne on that, right? Because you see somebody sitting on the Queen's throne, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
And I love that her emotions dictated everything. Because even when he was talking, everything was fine. When she got mad, the room lit up like how he burnt up the herb room in the first one. So I was just like, "That's just good attention to detail, man." And the whole like, "Hey, cousin," I said, "I see what you." That's good.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler's like, "I'm gonna get the third one. I'm gonna do the third one."
I hope he does. I mean, that's the way it should go. I was very disappointed when Jon Favreau didn't do Iron Man 3. I was like, as much as I like Shane Black, I was like, wait, the feel is different here. This doesn't seem like the same.
It did.
Sometimes when it's like when you have trilogies like that, I would love it for Marvel to start signing on their directors for all three films, because that way, because to me, okay, like if you go from like a Harry Potter standpoint, not having all the same directors makes sense because it's different years. Right. So you wanted to have like different feels for every year. But when you're like doing trilogies like Iron Man, Captain America, like, you know, Black Panther, you kind of want the same like director and essentially like the same writers in a sense, because you want like, and maybe add in another one, you know, another writer, but you want it to have that same feel. Yeah, exactly. So like you want to have like that same, like, because this film didn't feel, it felt familiar, but it still felt new because of like with everything. So like I want to go into my sequel kind of knowing what I'm getting into, because I know these characters a little bit, but also being surprised, which is what this film gave me. I was surprised at certain points. Like Okoye losing a fight, I was surprised. Okoye getting like stripped of her rank. Like
I think we've had enough setup with Okoye that seeing her lose, we're like, she didn't lose fighting against Thanos' army. She didn't like ever lose.
Right.
So to see her lose was
it
like
gives you, it shows you that these people are different. They built different. Right. Like, so like all that stuff to her. But I love that she got stripped of her rank, right? Because I felt like Queen Ramonda was holding in all of that, like you the general, and I had to run. You didn't protect me. You protected this man on this throne who like ripped our nation. Like to me, that scene was like, she was like, but where's her husband at? She can go talk to him. Mine ain't here. My son not here, and she lost my daughter. So it's time for her to get on now. Like I loved everything about that scene. And then what really broke my heart is that she was trying to bring her back to life, and she's crying because she'll never get to resolve their issues between the two of them. And that broke me. I was like, oh, that broke me.
I'm not sure that those issues would ever be resolved because the queen, even when she found out about Shuri being alive, she didn't go back and be like, hey, Okoye, she's alive.
But she wouldn't. I think she would have though, because her focus was still on bringing her back.
Right.
And I don't think she wouldn't give her job back or nothing like that. But I think somewhere along the line, Okoye had a hope that like, even if I'm not back in this building protecting you, back in
at least there's a chance.
At least there's a chance that like you can forgive me or we can move past this
thing, right?
Because she calls her mother. It's essentially like her mother disowned her. You know what I mean? So like that's a pain that like she'll never get to like resolve. Like you have to live forever with your mother telling you to leave.
Yeah, that was the last thing.
That's the last thing she said to her. And she saved Riri, but
But she's a whole other character now. Okoye has become this.
Okoye, I love that. I love that she's a Midnight Angel. Because to me, she's so powerful. You need to give her. I love that the suit is even as powerful as she is. Like she's powerful without the suit, but the suit just puts her like just over the top.
But now give it to every Wakandan that exists. There's enough vibranium to do it too. Just give it to all of them, and they're.
I think there's going to be more. I think there's going to be more Midnight Angels, and if they're smart with the way they're writing stuff, they will make it so that Wakanda becomes a nation like Talokan, because a lot of you can see, because when you went down into their world, you can see that a lot of them are just like living free and having a good time. But then there are also ones that train, that and we haven't seen in Wakanda yet people train like think about like the Woman King. Like they were like, we need more people, and so they went and got more people. These women that they saved, they were like, either you can stay here and train, or you can just go fend for yourself. We need something like that in Wakanda, because like the numbers are dwindling, and I can't wait to see it. So I can't wait to see more, because even if we don't get more characters, which we don't really need, we need more numbers,
right?
Just to fill out this like. We can't be a nation.
Kang is not going to go easily. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I don't see that happening. Oof.
So
I can't wait to see more variants of him too.
This is a random kind of aside about the film, but I wonder how France felt about being blamed for trying to steal vibranium, and that they were caught.
There was an article about that. Actually, like France actually like did not like Wakanda Forever because
Dude, come on, France. Everybody's got to be a bad guy sooner or later. The U.S., Russia, and China have always been the bad guys.
Russia and China are always the bad guys. And it was just like France, like,
just let it go.
If you got this, I feel like if you got this mad about it, it's some truth to it then at this point.
That's what I'm saying. You might actually do this, or maybe you
might actually do this, or you're doing it now, and everybody
exactly.
Out, like who told? So, like,
but you tarnish the way we looked in a fictional movie. Come on,
I know,
guys,
in a Marvel movie,
we
yes,
yes, we did.
That's hilarious.
That stood out to me, especially since the
is that what they said, Brian? When they saw that they got caught, they were like sacre bleu,
sacre bleu.
That's me.
I mean, they could have just made them all seem like the Swedish chef, or something like that, or some ridiculous stereotype. But no, they were basically saying they were badasses, but they just weren't as badass as Wakandans,
Exactly. But that too goes into what Sniddy was talking about Riri not being able to take her suit back. She pretty much told them, like, we do not let like vibranium outside of, like, you can't come to Wakanda and take this outside of, like, they can't do anything to what's already out there, because even Killmonger knew it was vibranium in these museums. Like, Wakanda is not going to traipse out and just break into every place and grab. But what they can control, they do control, and I think that's a bigger reason why they didn't let Riri take that suit out.
Claw's a good example of what they do to people that take it. You're not wrong.
No, facts. But I want to see what her Mark II is going to be.
I think that'd be great. I hope she puts a face mask on it, because that whole can't fly high thing is really a detriment. That's not the best thing.
I think she will. I think her time in Wakanda inspired her, and she's going to build something amazing. Because and honestly, if you look at the suit, it's like even more functional than like Iron Man's. Like her head moved when she was like, woo, like her head moved in the suit, like left and right. Like she's more like, I think it's like more flexible. It's like more mobile,
Well,
and
Tony's
it's more
last
mechanical.
suit at least was nanobots, so it would bend with him.
Yeah,
but I'm going back to like her Mark 1 versus his Mark 1.
Oh yeah, his Mark 1 was ridiculous. Suit of armor, essentially. I do.
But I mean, he built it in a cave from a box of fruit.
Brian, go away. Cut off your video.
Anybody who's willing to curse at the kid from Christmas Story.
That's like my favorite scene of Iron Man.
It's a great one. Well, like, he like really hits him in the chest, right? And he's like leaning at him, like really in his face, like holy crap. And Jeff Bridges is not a small guy.
Listen,
like he's a big
Jeff
dude.
Bridges should have got a nomination for that scene.
Yeah, he's pretty
because that scene is so funny to me because he's just like, but bro was in a cave.
Yeah, right. You have all of this.
You have all of this.
Right. You even have it built. It's right there.
Yeah, you have.
Make it smaller.
Yeah.
Rush it down.
No, I totally
he was
got
so
him.
Bad.
I did. I understood him in that moment. You do get that, and that's such a shame because what a great bad guy, and we never get any more Ironmonger. Like we just.
I know. Yeah, it's such a different role for Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
too,
it is.
You know, like.
And then for Tony to be like, "Step aside, Lebowski." Like,
for me, I think that
nice bookends.
I think this was the best way they could bring Riri Williams in without having Tony Stark, because obviously in the comics she is a Tony Stark fan. She models herself after his suit and builds her own. So this was, she obviously still did a little of that because he's been around, and they even joke, "Oh, she's got an Iron Man suit." But I still think that seeing her have somebody to look up to with Shuri and the Queen, really does.
Ryan Coogler said that Riri is a foil to Shuri. And just like the different, it's like a take on like different Black diversity. So if you really think about it, if Shuri grew up in America, she would be Riri. If Riri grew up in Wakanda, she'd be Shuri. So like they're essentially like the same person. But also, if you think about it, when Shuri was looking at the machine, she was like, "Yo, somebody really smart made this," because some of it's like new stuff, but some of it's scraps, and they still make this work. You know what I mean? So like she already had an admiration for this girl before she even met her, and then to find out that she's a college student was even like, "Hey, yeah, like."
To Aina's point, she said Dr. Doom is rumored to be Riri's professor. I struggle with that only because he's the king of a nation. So like the idea that they would lower him down to just being a professor would kind of take away from the concept of Doom. He needs to still be at that level where he's just been off the radar because nobody's messed with his country. But as soon as somebody steps into
I would think it'd be something like that.
Also, what if he keeps his eye out for like people that he needs, and if he's what if he dips into this world and he is a professor by day, but he's like this ruler by night? I can still kind of see that working, because why wouldn't you infiltrate Howard University, one of the smartest schools, to find people that you can use to your advantage? So I honestly I feel like both can work. Honestly.
At this point, all bets are off, because at this point the MCU is nothing like the comic books, so they can do whatever they want as long as they're bringing the characters in. I just want to see them. I want to see Doctor Doom. I want to see the Fantastic Four and X-Men. I want this. I'm still on board. Most people, I can tell there are a lot of people at this point that are like on full comic book burnout, and I get it.
It's called Marvel fatigue, is what they say it is. It's Marvel fatigue.
I get it, but this is why you don't rewatch them too much. Just watch each one as they come out, and don't overdo it.
But also, Kevin Feige has said that he believes that they have released too much Marvel at too short of a time. He says, like with the TV shows, he said that
2 of the TV
shows. He's pushing back Riri's Ironheart and Echo. He's pushing those back, and I'm happy for that. Like, let it breathe, because I think what a lot of people do is they take their fatigue and their anger from one show or movie into the next one, because they don't get a chance to like digest what they just got. And
if people can digest, so like you're on TikTok and you can't hear anything. It's got to die down on TikTok or social media in general. Have a break for like a month where we're talking about Star Wars or whatever, or something else, and then come back.
Because at first, seeing a Marvel film was like, "Oh snap, y'all, Marvel!" we gotta.
But they were
And
doing
I'm
one or
usually the
two a
first one to
year.
go see this stuff. I haven't even seen
Yeah.
Ant-Man yet, and I'm usually like the day before I'll see it, and I was just like, I just need a little. I'll go see it when I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I just need a little break. It won't be months, but I was like, let me just get a little. I'll go watch something else because there's a lot of content out here, and I think that's what they're not incorporating the fact that it's so much content, like so much content.
Well, and we're trying
they-
to keep up not only with
let it breathe.
Marvel, but you know, there's still DC movies coming out, Star
All
Wars
the other-
movies, and then
and
movies,
just regular movies.
just movies,
Right.
Right, they just like movies,
and
yeah.
TV shows make that whole thing a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
How
Oh
you
my
guys do
gosh,
both TV and movies, I don't understand. I don't get how you can keep up on both. I
Honestly,
stay with
I don't
movies
know
'cause
how
I
I
don't
do
have
it
time.
sometimes.
You know, I'll watch a
I don't
TV show
know.
occasionally, but it's always
Yeah.
movies for me.
Unless it's something I really like The Last of Us, I love. So I'm like, I'm watching that. You know, what I mean, but other than that, it's like I can only work.
I want to
I
really
can only work like
bad.
one TV show in.
My wife
Yeah,
made me watch Sex Lives of College Girls. Very funny if you want to watch that.
Mm.
I've heard, but seriously, I heard about
Mindy
that
Kaling.
too, man.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling is the producer and the writer. Very funny.
Oh, Mindy Kaling doing? Oh,
yeah.
I'm good. I'm big.
No, dude, like the whole time I'm sitting here watching this Indian actress
Yeah.
play, you know, this character, and I'm like, she seems familiar to me. And then I looked up who wrote it. I was like, oh, okay, she wrote herself into the show.
Yeah,
you know,
which she always does because she's Velma,
right?
And
Yeah.
I was highly disappointed.
I've heard she didn't write that show. She just acts in it. So that's the difference. Like, Sex Lives is very funny.
Well, they must write that for her.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Mindy Kaling tropes is in Velma, and I was just like, but yeah, it's disappointing. Little brown girl, little smart brown girl on TV. I was excited, and she made her a caricature. I was like, yeah, dang it.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no good.
Yeah.
I still haven't
Like,
checked
if you
a
listen-
single episode of Velma out. So
Yeah.
Don't do it. Save yourself the grief.
what were you gonna say, Brian?
Yeah, I watched episode 1 and I was like, yeah, but then also listening to like my, you know, our like we all a lot of us have the same
Mutuals,
mutuals. A lot of our South Asian mutuals
Yeah.
have really spoken up about it and be like,
Nope,
this is not the way, Mindy.
this ain't the one, y'all.
Yeah.
This ain't the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I was
fair.
disappointed. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like I love Velma because Linda Cardellini played Velma and I like Velma. But also Velma to me in the cartoons was just like she was smart, was funny. You know what I mean? It was great.
It'll be fun to see a little like
She
more
was always
inside her
calm
what
too.
it is
She was
and-
always the one
And
with a
right. And
straight
if you're
head,
gonna
you know?
make
Oh, yeah.
this, if you're gonna make this a meta version
Right.
of Scooby Doo and it's based on Velma, you could have made her something spectacular.
Yeah.
But you made it so nobody likes her. She don't even like herself. And then the one person she talks about
Just
people like
stereotypes and
it's all these stereotypes, and she talks about people not appreciating her, but then she turned around and she don't appreciate the one person that's trying to appreciate her. I'm like, it was all these tropes that I was just like, I know it's going to get resolved towards the end, but I was like, why have them in the first place? Like,
Yeah.
just
And the thing too is like so many people like I think a lot of people hate watched it and now it's like greenlit for season 2.
it was already greenlit for season
Yeah.
2. It was just like
Yeah, it's just like
Well, that's how they do it
Well,
now.
she's
They're
got multiple shows on
Oh,
HBO,
yeah.
so she's got, you know, they're working with her, so it makes
Right.
sense.
Man,
Um,
yeah. Go
Anyway,
ahead.
we can go ahead and rate
Yeah.
Wakanda Forever. We have actually gone well over our time, which is not normal, but
know.
hey, we're having a good time talking. We don't want to ruin it.
It's because I'm here. Sorry, guys.
Hey, we are happy to have you back.
I haven't talked to you guys in a while. I've missed you. So yeah.
So we're gonna go in the same order. Lala, what do you rate Wakanda Forever?
Wakanda Forever gets a solid 9.5 for me.
9.5.
It's just beautiful. It's beautifully written, beautifully acted, beautiful colors, everything. I love it.
I like it. I like it. How about you, Brian?
I'm gonna give it 9 grapefruits. There we go. Look at
9 grapefruits tall, right?
9
That's how-
grapefruits.
I
high,
love
yeah.
it.
If only people really understood what we're actually measuring. Anyway, if they watch the first film, they might. How about you, Tyler? How many grapefruits?
I'm gonna give it no more grapefruits than 9.
A 9.
Oh,
no
yeah.
more
quite,
than 9.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure. Gotta love
Right,
it.
right.
Surely. You're kidding.
Queen Mother? Oh, that doesn't work. Sorry,
Oh,
that didn't. I
man.
ruined it.
I'm in.
I'm actually going to give it an 8. It's not my favorite one, but I do love again the scope and I knew she was going to go. It's an 8. That's still above it. Like, it's still 8, 9, 10 is
She
like
did it ahead of
solid.
me. I was
You
about to
know?
do it.
I don't know. It's just, it didn't resonate as much with
I'm
me, but I
kidding.
still think it's a solid ass.
That's fine.
It's
Respect.
better than Captain America: First Avenger. It's better by
Just,
far
just
than
know I look at you
most of
differently
the
now. That's
Thor
all.
movies. It's far better than Love and Thunder and
Oh,
Ragnarok.
my
You
God.
should do what M'Baku did, where he jumped into the
You-
water for whatever
you-
reason he did.
You meant this one, Brian.
No,
Yes.
so wait, are you talking about the very first time he jumps in the water off the bridge?
Where he's like, hold my staff, and he jumps in.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like, what are
saving
you
the guy
gonna
that
do?
the boat got flipped over. So he actually there's a
But you're
boat that
jumping
got
right
flipped.
into the water. Where
No, I know that was brave,
Yeah,
but
where,
he's
like-
brave,
Where they like live, like I know.
Where
I
they
was thinking the
thrive.
same thing. Like, no.
But you
Yeah, I
have
was
to
like, that's
say,
not what you do.
listen, that's a big step for M'Baku, because at first he was just a person. He wasn't like
He was always
he
looking
was
out for
Wakandan,
Donald.
but he wasn't a
Yeah.
Wakandan. Like he was outside of.
Yeah,
And now he has a seat at the table. I bet money the Jabari got
I
vibranium
mean,
and they closed
sure, it's
down
his first step,
the
but it might be his last step. Like,
Right. I know.
bro,
He was
Yeah,
saving his
sorry,
fellow
but-
Wakandans. That's all I know. And
He
I was very
was.
proud of him.
I
doing
think that was a big
so.
step for him.
He even gave the guy a nice, like, handshake love
Oh,
at the end there.
yeah,
So
yeah, he did.
and agreed. Biggie Noir is fantastic. The actor is.
Oh, we all love
perfect,
Noir.
and he
I
did a
have
great
I have
job.
mixed feelings about that. He killed my mother, but I'm like, oh, he's sexy. I don't know. I don't
That's
know what
quite
to
the
do.
terror. You can't quite figure out.
He's
I
like,
really
"You're
think
Yeah.
he's
I'm
hot,
like,
but
okay,
man, he
yeah,
killed my mom. I
Yeah.
don't know how to feel
He
about
killed
that.
my mom. I don't know what to do. I feel like that's how Shuri feel. Like, man, I was kind of feeling him. He gave me a little.
Oh, they were
shoulder
totally
bracelet.
getting something.
Oh.
There was some vibe going
I gotta
on.
kick his ass.
Well, Ryan Coogler said that there is a deleted scene in which it was like they're flirting. Yes.
I'm dead, bro. No.
There's a grapefruit. There's a grapefruit. Yes.
Shuri, please, it hurts.
Shuri.
It stings. It burns. Oh,
But
that's
they said that
terrible.
there was a scene where like it was showing that they were kind of like feeling each other, stuff
Sure.
like that. But they cut it, and I was just like, "Thank you," because he killed her mama. So I was just
Yeah, that would have.
It
Yeah,
wouldn't have
I
worked
feel
after
kinda
that.
weird about that.
Before that, sure,
even
but
though
it wouldn't have
people
worked after.
still ship them, people still
Oh,
ship
totally.
them to this
Oh,
day.
yeah.
And I'm like, because my thing is his whatever Wakanda did a little bit, he went above and beyond. Like, okay, we killed
Mhm.
one of your people and you killed bajillions of ours.
Yeah.
And then it was just like it didn't level. Anything he did was just not level. It was like
Totally.
we did one thing and then you just murdered everybody.
Really only to get back the people that were kidnapped. So it wasn't even one thing. It was more like already
Exactly.
even when
And so
he
he
attacked.
just, but also he's a man of his word. He said, if you tell anybody or if you come
Right.
Yeah.
down unannounced, I will come back and kill you. And he killed her.
We do have to
So-
end, but I'm really excited about the idea that there's going to be enough characters introduced in the MCU to do an Illuminati from our universe. So Namor is, of course, one
Yeah.
of those characters that's
Right.
originally
No, for
Illuminati.
sure.
So let's hope. Let's see.
Oh, and also before we go, real quick, before we go. No, for sure, Ray. You cannot take out my mom and still flirt with me. You just can't do that.
It doesn't work.
But I will say this too. We rarely brought this up, but I will say this. I love the fact that there is another T'Challa in our universe. And this T'Challa might not be the son of what's his name? N'Jaka, I believe it is. I think it's his name. Can't remember his daddy's name, but T'Chaka is what his name is. T'Chaka. So like he might not be the son of T'Chaka, but he is the son of T'Challa. And so this way it gives these comic book fans a way to get the T'Challa stories that they wanted that they couldn't get from
Right.
Chadwick.
Sure.
And I think, and honestly, I feel like that might be the perfect way to end this film. Because you don't know, time passes so differently in the MCU. This boy can be 15 or 20 by the next time we come to Wakanda, and you don't even know. He could
Sure.
just be, and then he the prince. So when it's time for him to leave, he could be the king. He could be Black Panther.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So yeah, that's all I
And
got.
that is a great way to end our podcast. Thank you for that, Black Girl Marvel. Tyler Makes Films, all the movie things. You guys are awesome. Thank you as always for being on the show.
Tyler,
And I'm waiting for one more pun before we end the show. 'cause
Oh
there's
yeah, I was
always
just gonna
one.
say that this episode is now no more. We're done. There we go.
Yes.
Have a great night, all. Enjoy your week.
Ciao, ciao.